your time and support. With that out of the way, let's introduce our first panelist and dive right into the first segment of why players look beyond D&D. And keep your snarky comments to yourself, folks. I've already seen them. So let's meet our first panelist here. Arch, tell us who you are, what content you create, and what is your tabletop RPG experience.
Hello, everyone. I'm the Archmaster. My tabletop experience is I'm almost a rookie. Just 4 years now of tabletop experience. Before that, it was video games, Elder Scrolls, all the fun stuff. Then I got to tabletop and realized, actually, there's a lot more to gaming. This is really cool, actually. What I'm creating, I have a YouTube channel which I upload extremely infrequently now because I've been working on my own project, my own game, Arches of Absalon, which I released beta 0.2 recently. My whole big shtick is trying to really make actual difference and actually literally revolutionize tabletop games in ways that no one has ever seen before and make GMing as easy as playing. And that's one of my many mission statements.
Okay, all right. So, with all that said, what makes players and GMs look beyond D&D, and how do you explain the value of other fantasy RPGs without turning it into just an argument against everybody hates D&D?
Well, this is at the same time a very easy question to answer, but also I could go on forever. What makes players not want to play D&D 5e?
No. I want to be clear. What makes players and GMs look beyond D&D?
Look beyond D&D. Well, people generally look beyond something if they're dissatisfied with it in some way, especially if they see other people doing other things at other tables that they don't get to do at theirs. But the big one, I think a lot of people can relate to playing any of the recent editions of D&D is just the lack that D&D lacks something, and so they look beyond it, and that lack takes a zillion forms. I think D&D tries to be a lot of things, tries to be too many things at once, but that's hardly even the actual culprit. I don't think that it's even like, well, it tries to be too many things at once. That's what a lot of people say, but I don't think that's looking deep enough. I think D&D actually fails to accomplish most of what it even sets out to do, even at its core thing, like dungeon crawling and whatnot. Like just pick anything. I think the problem is that the designers themselves didn't actually know what tabletop was, what tabletop adventure games are. And you can even tell that by the fact that they call them role-playing games instead of adventure games, is that they don't even know what genre they're designing a game for. On the one hand, they say it's a role-playing game, and on the other, in the book, it says, yeah, this is a collaborative storytelling game, without realizing that collaborative storytelling and role-playing are on opposite ends of the spectrum. And then at the same time, they say, oh, here's your adventuring party with your adventuring class and your adventuring day, and realize that that's a third axis. Like adventuring, storytelling, and role-playing are completely separate, and you can overlap them in certain ways, but they don't draw a distinction between things. And so it makes all of the design just confused. And so when players get there and they play, I think that if you want to sum it up, the biggest thing that gets players to look beyond D&D is that it's just confused.
Okay. You guys want to jump in, or you want me to hit up with a follow-up question?
I can't believe this guy's going to make me defend D&D.
I can't believe I know. Bear, do you want to go first, or shall I?
You should. I'm going to get. You know what?
I'll go
get
first.
A cup of coffee, and you go first.
Yeah.
I'll be back.
Coffee for this, okay?
Oh yeah.
Right. I've played D&D since basic, first, second, all the way through. Fourth was the only one that I really didn't gel with, and I think I've got to disagree with the fact that D&D is the most popular role play system because it is many things. So you can take what you want from it and play that. And there are a lot of tables, across the globe who have successful campaigns playing D&D. They love it, but at some point they look beyond it. And when they look beyond it, I think it's because they just get a little bit too fatigued playing the one system. They just get too used to the rules. They get a little bit bored. They want something fresh. They want a different setting. So using my sort of experience as an example here, when I started playing D&D with a solid group. So this group, we've been playing on and off for probably, since the 90s. So 30 odd years. the times we took a break from D&D were the times that a campaign came to an end, several years of a campaign, we needed something fresh, and we would then look beyond D&D. We would be going, what else is out there? What do we fancy? And the first time we kind of did this, it was Earth Dawn that took our fancy because it was different. Drink, yes. I've always got to squeeze Earth Dawn into this.
That's why we get along so well.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was the different setting. You know, we're talking a horror setting here. We're talking a still fantasy. It was familiar enough, but different enough. So I think for a lot of people to almost answer the question, a lot of people, they look beyond D&D, especially where their foundation is D&D, because they just want something different. They want something fresh. Now, when we look at modern D&D 5e, I think there might be different reasons why people are now beginning to look beyond. Because 5.5 came out, as they've now called it. Sales haven't been fantastic. People still like the 2014 rule set. But I think with nothing much changing now in the rule set that the majority of players use, you're going to get that fatigue set in. You're going to get that boredom set in. At the end of the day, it's like a computer game. If you play the same computer game year after year, day in, day out, you're going to want something different. So as successful as D&D is, I think when it comes time to look beyond D&D, it's not because it's a role-playing game as a storytelling game. And I disagree. I don't think the two are diametrically opposite. I think there's a huge amount of overlap between the two, and role-playing and storytelling kind of go hand in hand. I do think when people have had enough of D&D, when they come to the end of a big campaign, when they want a break, they'll look beyond. And at that point, the indie games come in, or something like Pathfinder comes in, and that starts to take their interest. So in answer to your question, Archmaster, I think you're wrong when you say it's too many things, and that's why people don't like it. I think it is hugely popular because it is too many things, but people get bored of it, and that's when they start to look beyond and go, what else is out there?
Can I respond to that real quick?
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is a discussion. You guys.
Cool. I didn't want to cut off there. So I agree with you that its popularity comes because it claims to be everything. It says you can do this and this and this and that. Here's your adventure. Here's your storytelling. Here's your role playing. It promises everything, promises the world, and that gets a lot of players in. I do agree, but the reason why they leave beyond just being bored, right? That applies to everything. That applies to every movie, every video game, everything. I don't think that's a very useful metric to say, oh, why do people look beyond D&D specifically? I don't think you can take something that applies to everything. And I don't think it's very useful. So why do they leave D&D specifically? It's because it doesn't deliver on any of those things well. It's confused. It promises the world. It makes it very popular. Lots of people get engaged and they come in. But then it's like, we don't do adventure very well. We don't do dungeon crawls very well. It's not actually good at a storytelling game because you put all the work on the players and the GM. It doesn't actually do any of the things that it claims to do. It doesn't facilitate it. It certainly doesn't tell you how to role play at all. So I think the problem is that it's all very confused.
Okay. So let's start with the statement that they don't know what they were doing when they made the game because it's not what it's supposed to be. That's like saying Chuck Berry and Elvis aren't rock and roll because rock and roll evolved and became something else later. They are still rock and roll. They are, in fact, the very foundation. They're Usul. Is it Usul, the pillar of the foundation, or whatever it is from Dune, or is it Muad'Dib? I always get confused. Yeah. Usul is the foundation of the pillar. Okay. Yeah. This is the point. They may not be super modern, amazing, wow, wah-wah pedals and, finger pick solos like, say, Van Halen, but they're still rock and roll. Now, why do people leave? Well, you say it doesn't do any of the things it does well. Well, that's a complete and absolute misnomer. It's impossible to say that it does not do what it says it's going to do well based on sales popularity and ubiquity within the market. Clearly, it does deliver on those things. Does it deliver on those things in a way that more modern gaming people might like? Debatable. Do people leave because it's not delivering those things? No. People leave because they get bored. They get bored of fantasy. They get bored of 6 stats. They get bored of classes and levels, and they want to try other things. And they usually find themselves playing Call of Cthulhu, and they go, "Oh my God, there's no classes or levels." Mind blown, baby. Or they play a superhero game, or they play a sci-fi game, or they play anything else, and they go, "This is really interesting." And invariably, 90% of them go back to D&D.
Yeah.
Or they leave D&D to go play a D&D clone.
Yes.
Or to go play another edition of D&D. So at the end of the day, to say that D&D fails is not accurate. It succeeds. It succeeds beyond the dreams of avarice. It succeeds so well that it only can fail itself with these editions that it puts out, like he was just saying about 5.5. Certainly not the game itself that's failing. The company fails. And that's my here or there on it.
Okay.
And I hate D&D, by the way.
Okay.
Well, I know you said a couple things in there, Bear, and Dean also said this about people getting bored and wanting to move on. Yes, for me, that's one of the primary reasons of what happened. Not that I hated the game, but I got bored of it at that time. My question for both of you two, and Arch, you can jump in as well. Technically, I should ask this to you because, it's your segment, but they're the ones that gave this answer. What causes, I'll start with you, Arch, because I'm sure this was parents in discussion. What causes that boredom? And I know it can be different for each person, but generally speaking, what do you guys think causes that boredom of like, oh, look, it's D&D again, yay?
Okay, I'll let them answer the boredom question. I think it's more frustration, because if it was sheer boredom and that's all, then they would just play a different setting. You know how many different settings there are available for D&D? If it was really just a matter of boredom, they wouldn't look to a different system. They would just look to a different setting. The reason why they want to leave the system is frustration. I think Bear might be living in a bubble if he hasn't heard the majority of people who talk about this topic say, yeah, D&D has problems. I mean, just look at the comments of this stream. People will say D&D as a system has problems. No one will say, yeah, I just got kind of bored, but it's a great system. No one says that. Everyone says, yeah, it's a crap system. We all hate it, and we want something better. That's why DC-20 took off. That's why the whole OGL thing took off. Like, people wanted a new system. It wasn't just, we don't like the OGL. It was, we don't like this trash system. You can look it up. I wish I had receipts if I had known it was going to go this way, because I could point to it. But no, I think it's frustration that gets people to leave, not just boredom. If it was boredom, they'd just play other settings and they'd be fine.
Dean, do you mind if I address that since I was called out?
Yeah, absolutely, Beth. You go for it.
Thanks. Hi. I've only designed 5 games now. I only have been cultivating a career in this. I've only been playing for 40 years, but I live in a bubble where I clearly don't know that people don't like D&D. I didn't realize that. This is absolute news to me. People don't like D&D? The deuce, you say? I'm the guy who calls it baby's first role-playing game. I'm the guy who says it's so basic they color code the dragons for your convenience. Okay,
that's a low blow, sir.
It's an honest blow, sir. But the point is that no, D&D is doing fine. Its sales, DC-20 can lick my toes for all I care. That game still hasn't come out. It's still in playtest. It's got a very finite community based around a charismatic presenter, not over, wow, this system's amazing. And at the end of the day, isn't it just D&D with extra parts? Just like Pathfinder, or just like the entirety of the OSR? This is the point, is that if D&D as a system was so crap, we wouldn't see every BX clone Kickstarter making $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. We wouldn't see Shadowdark making millions of dollars. I get it. You're young. You want to change the world. I was there once myself. And I look forward to maybe hopefully being alive when you're in your 50s to see if that's changed for you or if you've managed to change the world. I won't be. I'll be dead by then. But that's okay.
Don't say that.
It's true.
You only have 22 years to wait until I'm 50.
I'll be dead by then. It'll be awesome.
Come on. You don't look that old.
I'm 56 in a month, sir.
My dad's
78.
72.
Yeah,
My
good
dad's
for your
72
dad.
and he's
And there's the other problem with your bubble argument. You're using specific descriptors, using specific people's comments, specific small groups of dissidents' comments. Those do not speak for the larger community. Most of the community doesn't even talk, they just buy. And I was at a gaming store today with my buddy to pick up Battletech Alpha Strike. Yes, everyone, I'm going to play Battletech. What?
Nice.
Well,
I'm going to play Battletech
kind of
Alpha Strike.
Alpha Strike isn't quite Battletech, but you're
Shut
close.
up!
I like it.
Shut up! Stop you talking. Daddy's holding court. But anyway, the point being is that that store, 90% of the gaming stuff was D&D related. And then there were 2 shelves of non-D&D stuff. I can go to any gaming store in North America and usually find the same ratio. If that shit wasn't selling and making them money, it would not be on the shelves. As simple as that.
You keep saying selling. I think you moved the goalpost. I never said they didn't sell. They sell because they're popular. I never said they didn't sell. I said why people look beyond it, not why people don't buy it. People look beyond it because they're frustrated, but they keep playing it because it's 90% of the market share, and everyone knows it and everyone plays it, and it's hard to get a D&D game as it is. So people aren't able to get other systems. That's the hardest thing to do. Is
what are you talking about? With Amazon, getting players might be hard.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Get games
Beans
for other
wanted
systems.
to come in because Beans knows I'm getting riled up, so he's coming to calm me down. That's what Beans does.
I think you're moving the goalposts. I never said it doesn't have
I'm
sales.
not moving
You keep bringing up sales.
I'm making a point that if the game was so frustrating and people were so crazily upset about it, it wouldn't be selling. They'd move on to something else, which they did in the 90s. And I was there, young man, when D&D 2nd edition failed so miserably and Vampire the Masquerade dominated the market. Dominated the market to the point where TSR was going tits up and had to sell to WotC. So when people have had enough of something, and they have had enough of D&D in the past, it will die. You cannot separate market value, market share, or popularity from contentment with the system. They will absolutely inarguably be connected in many ways. Many, many ways. That's why popularity is a big market share of these type of things. So, do I agree with you that people get frustrated by the system? Absolutely. Do I agree with you that people would like something other than fantasy? Absolutely. Do I agree with you that therefore that is the lion's reason why people go away from D&D? Absolutely not. People go away from D&D because we are gamers and we are always looking for a new thing. We always want to try something out. And those of us who were there in the 80s and 90s were doing it on a weekly basis because there was always new stuff coming out and we were always picking it up and we were always trying it out. And that's how we discovered some of the games we now love as old men.
I wish I dropped in the pre-show so I could have debated it with you beforehand. I want to hear what Dean has to say.
Yeah. Okay, your thing about frustration and D&D having problems. Every system has problems. Okay, you can't get away from it. A designer will design what they think is perfect. Someone else will come in, they'll pick it up, and they'll go, "It's not perfect," and you can't get away from that. It's part of life. You see the good in what you want. You feel the bad, but someone else might see different goods and different bads. So the fact that there's a lot of people playing D&D and it is the most popular system is because at its core, it is a very easy to pick up system. It's easy to play. It's easy to expand. The OGL allowed other third parties to create for it. I'll talk a little bit about my history. When I came into D&D, found a group. We played some basic D&D, played a little bit of first. Second edition became our big thing. You're talking about if you get bored, you just move on to different systems. Well, that's kind of what we did. We had a campaign that was set on the Forgotten Realms. Then we went to Planescape. I ran a whole Planescape thing, did a bit of spell jamming. But at some point, you just get tired of the system. You just want something a bit fresh. And this is whilst, during the week, we would be playing, three games, 4 games? Because do you know what? We didn't have social media. We didn't have the internet. Nothing took, we had nothing to take away our time. So we just got together with whoever was available and we played whatever we wanted to. And D&D was one of those games amongst many that we played. But for the games I ran, I got to the point where, okay, we've had enough of this. We need a break. Bring in another game, run another couple of year campaign with that system, which the first time we kind of did this, it was Earthdawn. And then we were back to D&D. And this was in addition to running lots of other stuff. The number of systems I have ran, it's long. It's really long, covering fantasy to sci-fi to a mix of both with the Torg system, which was fantastic. So I have to disagree with you, Archmaster. I think if people leave D&D, it's not because they're frustrated. I've left D&D and I won't ever play it again. And I've left it purely because of the actions of the corporate company. That said, if someone said, I'm running a second edition campaign, it's a bit of a one shot, I'd be like, if you're looking for a player, I'll happily join your table. I won't do anything modern now, but the old D&D stuff, it still has a place in my heart, and I will still play it. But I've left D&D for the actions of WotC rather than frustration. People who leave D&D for something fresh do it because of boredom, more than anything. They just want something different. Variety is the spice of life.
So I got a couple of questions based on this. So why do you think, and because it's segment 1, we'll start with Arch on this. Why do you think people change, especially in the 3.0 era, change, and I'm going to put this in quotes, from D&D to Pathfinder, or in the more modern, or maybe go ancient, but it's a more modern trend? Why do you think they change from D&D to some OSR clone of D&D?
Well, for the whole 3E and Pathfinder thing, I think they switched to Pathfinder because WotC wasn't making D&D anymore. They were making World of Warcraft. So I don't think that is a reflection of what's going on now.
Yeah, but let me just be clear on this, because that's my fault. The people were doing that back in the 3.0, 3.5 era. I have a lot of friends who are like, they jumped on board the 3.0 bandwagon, played it, and they're like, oh, but now we play Pathfinder and it's so much better. I'm like, it's the same damn game. A couple tweaks, I get it, but it's the same damn game.
Reactions.
Yeah, I mean, if that one thing is what did it, they could even. But all told, and it's kind of a generic question. I know I'm mentioning specifics here in terms of like BX to or 1E to OSR or 3 to Pathfinder, but you could put this in any game that's generally the same thing. Why do people change from 1st edition Shadowrun to 2nd edition Shadowrun? Don't tell me 6th edition's out there, nobody cares. Why do they change from I get this question a lot, thanks to Dean. Why do people, is it 1st edition or 4th edition? I'm like, dude, it's the same game. I mean, they tweak some things, but there isn't like a major overhaul in them. So why do you think it is that people jump to something that's essentially the same, I guess is what I'm asking.
The reason why they jump from one thing to another, I would say, is what Dean and Bear are talking about. The boredom. Something new came out, something new, something shiny. You want to get your hands on the latest product. That, to me, makes sense. It's the next edition of the same game. But why do they look beyond D&D entirely? That's because D&D isn't meeting their expectations. It's not satisfying them. They're frustrated. There's something wrong. I think going to the next edition of a game is very different from looking beyond D&D to something else entirely. I think there are two different motives for that.
No, I got you. It's just people, when they talk about it, they'll be like, I don't play D&D, I play Pathfinder. I'm like, okay, so you're playing D&D. Great, got it.
Yeah, that has a lot of different things. But back in 4th edition, I think it was just because WotC, D&D official brand wasn't actually making D&D games anymore. They weren't making adventure games. They were making World of Warcraft tabletops in. And people went to Pathfinder because Pathfinder was still D&D, even if it wasn't branded. I think people have always wanted to play D&D, and they'll get their hands on D&D wherever they can, the best version of D&D that they can find, which is why I don't think that it's boredom that makes them leave, because they're always going to the next D&D. I think it's the reason why they go away from D&D brand is because it doesn't satisfy them. If it satisfied them, they would stay. They would go to the next edition every few years, and they would just stay with D&D. The reason why they go away is because no new edition is actually going to cut it, because the designers don't know what they're doing.
Dean, Bear?
I have thoughts.
Go on, Bear.
Well, I don't listen. I guess I'm assuming now story game, adventure game, these are the narrative and simulationist and the thing that the kids are doing today with their 100% risk, no cap. I'm an old guy. I don't understand these things. I'm very confused by young people. But no, because the majority of people who leave D&D leave to a D&D clone, or sci-fi done with D&D, or horror done with D&D. So clearly, that doesn't prove the point. The engine clearly works, and people like it.
I didn't
they
say
just want
the engine
different
doesn't work.
flavors. You literally said it's no good at what it does. You made 3 categories and said it fails at all of them.
But I didn't say the engine. I'm talking about specific choices of the current designers, like long rest and like all their crazy bloat and like, a whole bunch of individual things about the individual D&D 5e system. I never said the engine was bad. I love the engine. The engine's great. The reason why they leave branded D&D is because branded D&D for the last 12 years now has been bad and frustrating. That's why
I
they
mean,
leave D&D.
so I like 4th edition, and I don't hate it. And you can use it Theater of the Mind. And yes, you can call it World of Warcraft Table Edition if you like. That's nice. It's always fun to reduce things to basic arguing points that you can't therefore have to defend. Secondly, 5th edition's an excellent engine. It got bloated out of existence, but it's an excellent game engine. And I think what you're confusing is the politics and choices made by a corporation versus players' frustration, your words, with a game. Is it frustration with the game, which you clearly said does not achieve any of its goals, or is it frustration with the company and how they're presenting things? You can't have both sides of that argument be accurate. It's one or the other. What are you making? Which one is it?
Still moving the goalpost. I talked about.
I'm moving the goalposts.
You mentioned 3 different things. You said problems with the game, problems with the company, which you brought up. I didn't. And then just
he brought up actually. He brought up the
I brought up problems.
Whatever. I'm talking about in this conversation. Whatever. Anyway, what I actually mentioned was okay. So yeah, there's the engine, and then all the rest of the game, which is nebulous, and then there's the company. I do agree people left for the company. They absolutely did, and that's a more recent thing. In January of 2023, they started leaving for the company. I was one of them. I'm totally on Dean's side with this. I don't want to ever buy another WotC product again. But that's separate from why people continue to leave after the OGL, and why they will continue to leave for the next 10 years. It's not because it's a bad engine. It's a decent engine. My own engine, the Colonnade engine for my game, was based off of the D20 engine. And so I think it's a good engine. It's fine. When I say the game system itself in totality, not the one engine and not the company, the totality of the experience you get when you play the game by the rules is heavily flawed. And that makes people look away from D&D. That's my argument.
I'm just going to disagree with you on that completely as a point, but that's okay. We're allowed to disagree. That's the beauty of modern life.
Yeah.
We need more disagreement on the show. I'm happy it's happening.
Yeah, glad we're finally here. I was looking forward to talking to Bear because I think I saw like one of your other panels and I was like, ooh, Bear has opinions. This is going to be great.
Yeah, crazy. I'm Gen X. It's what we do. We have opinions.
We do.
And we smack each other in the back of the head and suck it up, buttercup.
And we ask this question often. Are you stupid? Are you stupid?
Well,
we literally ask that question to each other all the time.
We say the R word, sir.
I just hear the British robot voice saying it.
Shall I provide my answer? Could you just restate the question? I think I've kind of lost the question in between the.
If you're going back to my question was simply it was generically about why do people leave one game and then basically go to the same game? And the example I wanted to use was like, why do people leave D&D like in the 3.0 era and go to Pathfinder? Why do people leave BX and play an OSR game? It's the same damn or first edition, depending which flavor you got.
Yeah, I think it's because it's first of all it's familiar. So you're not having to rewire your brain to learn a completely new system. There's a lot of terminology that's very similar, so you adapt to it far quicker. When I moved, what was it? We were doing fourth edition. Fourth edition, one of the problems it radically changed that engine. Attributes suddenly got paired, so you only needed like dexterity or intelligence. You didn't need both. You needed strength or constitution. Didn't need both. So instantly you had a paring down of numbers, you had the pairing of the attributes, the system changed too much, you had your dailies, encounters and at wills. It worked fantastically as a tactical squad-based system. And I think it would have, if they'd sold it like that, I think it would still be selling stuff today. They would still be selling their models, still be selling it as a system. Fantasy XCOM, it would be absolutely fantastic. But they tried to sell it as D&D and it had changed too much. The reason people move to other similar D&D systems is because it's familiar. So people who love 3.0, 3.5, the natural progression was to Pathfinder, of which Pathfinder never used to have. It's the second edition that brought in the 3 actions. Otherwise, it used to be the very familiar. I'm trying to remember now. It was kind of your action, your move, and
move, action, reaction. Was usually
that's right. Yeah. So it's a lot of people who got disenfranchised with the latest offering from WotC. They moved adjacent to D&D, but still within the D&D umbrella. So that would have been things like Pathfinder. I know that Pathfinder picked up a load of people, and the OSE stuff picked up a ton of people going back to what worked. For me, after 4th edition, I actually returned to 2nd. I didn't leave the D&D umbrella, but I stayed within it because, D&D has been there since the start, and I think a lot of people who play it, they fall in love with it in a way that it's difficult to explain. If you've got a good DM, they can take you on a journey. The system's robust. It is very flexible. Third edition kind of began to step on that with all of its DCs for absolutely everything within the skills. But fifth edition returned back to that flexibility, that the DM being able to adjudicate what is happening without having to keep referring to a rule book to look up what the DC is for doing a certain thing, or a player saying, I got diplomacy, I've rolled a 30, which means that NPC that I've pissed off has to do what I tell it to do because according to the rules. And it's just, yeah, I think it's just because it's familiar. It's familiar, it works, it has problems, every system has problems, but a lot of people move adjacent to like 5th edition because it is familiar. Bed, did you want to challenge me on something?
Yeah, well, yeah, you're talking about 3rd edition was the first place where the player became more important than the GM, right? That was the big problem with 3rd edition. It's why
it was where because they try to rule everything, it gave players
to
the power to challenge the DM.
Yes. This is exactly the same thing we're talking about, just using different wording. That's fine.
Yeah.
Canada and the UK, two countries separated by literally nothing except accents. But the point being is that it doesn't matter. D&D has not been D&D for a long time, and that's okay. Yeah. So people left D&D a long time ago, and they keep going back to the flavor. They still want a burger, right? And D&D is the burger, right? Now, Chaosium, BRP, might be the pizza, and Free League, their stuff might be, I don't know, Lebanese food for all I know. But the point is that people still want to have a burger.
Yeah.
For the most part. And that's why these D&D clones do so well. So the frustration with D&D cannot be the engine. It cannot be the core game mechanic, because that survives and thrives between things like Castles and Crusades and Shadowdark and everything else. So the only reason I can see, based on eliminating factors now, that people leave D&D is one of 2 points, which we've already made. Boredom, and then they go find a completely different game to play, Pendragon, what have you, or politics. They don't like where WotC's going. They object to, Mexicors and, gay dwarven pastry chefs and whatever the hell else they've been putting in there since 20 whatever. The point being is that it still doesn't make it a bad engine, still makes it a good game for what it does. If what you want to do is kill things and take their treasure so you can get better at killing things and taking their treasure, there is no better game than D&D. It does it perfectly.
Psychic damage.
If you want talking stick role playing, go play Fate. I have the conch. It's my turn to talk.
Does it perfectly? Really, Bear? I thought you said you hated D&D.
I can't stand D&D because I don't like murder hoboing. But when it comes to murder hoboing, it's the best murder hobo game on the market, baby. It's designed to murder hobo.
Okay, wait till my game. I want to run a session of my game for you, and you tell me.
No, thanks. I'm good. I don't play games. I run games.
Bears tried to be a player. It turns interesting.
It doesn't take well. So at the end of the day, why do people leave D&D? If we have to pick a reason that I would say, it's for flavor. They want something else. They just want to try something else. They want to experience other things. That's it. That's all.
If I can, if we still have time in this segment, let me try to say something quick, okay? If that's even possible for me. All right, so burgers, right? You like In-N-Out. In-N-Out's your favorite. You have In-N-Out every day. It's your thing, right? But there's Burger King and there's McDonald's over there. And so, you've been eating In-N-Out for 10 years. So you think, okay, curiosity, boredom, let me just try something new. You go eat at Burger King for a month. You eat at, McDonald's for a month. And you go back to In-N-Out. You're like, yeah, In-N-Out is my favorite, okay? That, I think, is what you two were talking about. It's the boredom. But why do they look beyond in a very minor sense? Because they're bored, yes. But I took the question to be, why are they leaving? Why are they permanently looking beyond for a new solution? That is not boredom. If it was mere boredom, they would satisfy their boredom and come back to D&D. The reason why people are looking for completely new systems and ditching D&D is not simple boredom. It is because the system is flawed. There are 2 different types of looking beyond. I didn't say engine.
When the system and engine are the same damn thing. What are you talking about?
Then there's the engine, which is the underlying engine of the game system. The system is all of the rules in its totality.
Dean, go, Dean.
Right.
Go.
When Arch, I think we I need to understand, when you talk D&D and people leaving D&D, are you talking about 5e and the latest editions?
Yes.
Okay. So even if someone leaves 5e and returns back to one of the previous editions or one of the adjacent editions, so your OSR, OSE kind of flavors, are they leaving D&D?
They're leaving D&D 5th edition, but not the brand, no.
Yeah. And we're talking about people leaving D&D.
We'll see.
And I think that's left open for a reason, which is if you are fed up with 5e, 5.5, and you return back to 3rd or 2nd, 1st basic, you're not leaving D&D. You're still playing D&D. It's just not the latest edition.
Yeah.
You haven't left D&D.
I agree. In that sense, if you're just looking at the brand, you're right. You haven't left the brand. What I took this to mean in the current zeitgeist of D&D 5e dominating for the last 12 years, I took the question for Max to be D&D 5e.
Yeah.
That's what I've been discussing.
Yeah.
Because I think the people playing 1st and 2nd have been doing it for 50 years. I don't think they've ever left it.
Yeah, honestly, I've been writing a ton of notes down here from what you guys have been saying, and you pretty much just took all my notes away from me by acknowledging that point, because I was going to, because you said, if they're simply bored, they would play a new game and come back. I'm like, yes, that's what we did. In fact, it was like pulling freaking teeth to keep saying. Earth Dawn was my only success story in that. Where it's like I could pull people from D&D into Earth Dawn, and then we never went back to D&D with that group. But that was rare. We would try this game, go back to D&D, do this other game, go back to D&D, play this other, go back to D&D. Not that I hated D&D, and I don't want to usurp the segment with this commentary because I can do this in the members only, but it wasn't a hatred of D&D. It was just looking for, how can we do this differently? There were constraints in D&D that while I will jump up and down from a mountaintop and say those constraints belong, you need them, you have to have them, or it's not D&D, yada, yada, we still wanted something outside of it. And I don't, and most of us didn't believe, well, let's just change everything D&D does. No, there's a game over there that does that. Let's just go pick that up. Okay. And then we would play that and find out whether we liked it or not, move on. But we did, honestly. Most of us, and Bear was saying this, it's funny because he's got a lot of my talking points apparently. In the 80s, especially the 90s, which I consider the golden age of role-playing, we played everything. Somebody came in, somebody just go buy a random book. The problem was is that we weren't inundated with every weirdo being a self-publisher, and every 2 blocks you've got a new self-publisher coming out. I got my game. I got my game. I got my game. I got my game. It was kind of something special to have a new game. So if somebody came in with something new, you're like, oh, I'm gonna do this. It was great. I loved it. And then we went back to D&D. I think there might be something you're saying in the zeitgeist that there's just a different. We're talking 2 generations ago, or at least a generation and a half ago for the 90s, right? So, maybe that is part of the problem that we have to address in a future live stream, that maybe how we're looking at these things are generationally based.
The movement we're seeing is because of the flaw, not just because of boredom. You wouldn't see a mass movement if it was simple boredom. Sorry, Bear.
I have no point to prove, sir. My ego is not invested in any.
No, I'm saying sorry for interrupting.
Oh, no. Interrupt away.
I had a couple more follow-ups, but we've kind of hung on this. Got to do super chats. Well, we don't have any super chats, so I don't have to read any of those. And okay,
super chats.
So, yeah, I'm going to do this. We're going to start with Arch because I think it's important as we go into the other segments. How do you pitch another? And we are using fantasy because we're talking a lot about D&D right now. How do you pitch another fantasy RPG? But here's the catch. Without sounding elitist or anti-mainstream? I don't even know if I could answer that one because I'm anti-mainstream.
Yeah, that's a hard one for me because I'm very tempted to be elitist. I'm still young and prideful, and that's my big temptation, as Bear could probably tell already. So how to do it? I'm probably not the best person to ask, but...
well, I have to start with you. It's your segment. But you can. You are welcome to pass if you really want to.
I've got to answer it. It's
okay.
I've got to be manly about it. So how to pitch it, thinking logically and not emotionally. I think it's less helpful to mention all of the problems with D&D or whatever existing system, and it's more helpful to mention here are all the cool things that this new game offers that you might not get elsewhere, right? With my own system, I have like a list of like 30 different things where it's like, these are the problems you won't have to deal with anymore, like power creep and broken multiclassing, etc. And I look at that and it just feels antagonistic. and it feels like I should actually have a list of, here are all the super awesome things you've probably never experienced in a game before. This is what I offer, right? That, like when you're pitching a new system, tell them all the really cool things about it, rather than here are all the broken things that D&D 5e has that this new game doesn't. Because then I don't
what's
think that gets
something
people
cool?
excited.
You can either talk about your game or a game you really enjoy. What are one or two cool things about that game that you try to do to sell me or Dean or Bear or the people in the audience?
I'll go with my system. The action economy, flexible action economy that makes sense. Not overly flexible. I think Pathfinder's overly flexible, and they have to make some less preferred mechanics to compensate for it. DC 20, their action economy is overly flexible. You can use all 4 actions on the same thing and get quadruple advantage and whatnot. I think having my system uses a slightly flexible action economy that I think hits that sweet spot that my players really, really like. That's something new that you're not going to get with D&D, which is too rigid, or Pathfinder or DC 20, which is too flexible. It's right in the middle. It's a sweet spot. And if I had more time, I could actually explain the details of it. But that's one thing I would say is, look, sweet spot, flexible action economy. This is cool. This is more flexible than D&D, but not as crazy as those other games.
Dean, you want me to hit the ask again?
It's okay. You need to sell your players on what you'd like them to try, and turning around and saying things like broken multiclassing to a bunch of power gamers who love multiclassing isn't the best way to sell a new system, because they'll be looking at what they're giving up, and they're playing D&D for a reason, because they love it. They love doing what they do in it. If it's rigid, it's because they want it to be rigid, because they understand what they can do in combat and outside of combat. So my approach would be to sell the virtues of the new system, to do minimal comparisons. But so when I was selling Earthdawn, I brought up the book, I showed the artwork, I showed the kind of classes.
Well, that has screwed it up right there. It's got some of the worst art I've ever seen.
Well, yeah, hang on. We're talking back in. I mean, Second Ed had some cracking art in it, but Earthdawn also had some really lovely pieces of art that really sold the system. And then I would sell the setting. You know, talking about you're locked in this care, you're coming out to this world that has been ravaged. These horrors have retreated, but they're still there. Yeah, the magic item artwork, I will admit, wasn't the best. But you had some lovely pieces of art. You still did. The Windlings were gorgeous, absolutely beautiful, which is why all my players went one.
I mean, look at the big head on this. This is a bobblehead troll.
Yes.
Anyway, no, the color. I'm sorry.
Earthdawn's
my game of choice. So no, I like having everybody in the chat knows that. I'm surprised we haven't had 100 people say drink in the chat over that. But whatever you miss, I'm just gonna say whatever you miss on selling them on, I'm gonna follow up with.
And then I sold them on the fact that it had this Fibonacci system tied into how everything worked, the XP, the steps processes and stuff like that, how it was a class system but also gave you incredible flexibility. I was selling my players on all the stuff they could do that D&D couldn't do as an experience that was different and worthy of their time. And the players, having heard that, were on board. And we started a campaign that ran for a couple of years. That's the way that I would look at selling a different system. I wouldn't rubbish D&D, because you're talking about players who've been playing it for how many years. There's something in there that they love. But if you show them that there's something different, something exciting, something that is worthy of their time, I think a lot of players will go with you, come along with you with that journey. Because they want a new experience as well. You're not turning around and rubbishing and burning that D&D bridge, so they know they can always go back over that bridge if they want to, but they've got the opportunity to try something new.
Bear, same thing. How, you don't have to do this one, I'm just saying it for the folks out there. How would you pitch Valorous?
So first of all, to address something Dean said, hey, the bridge is gone, bitches. We can't play D&D anymore. Sorry. You know, you want to go get your rappelling gear out, have fun, but I'm going this way down this road. I wouldn't. And that's the difference. I wouldn't pitch a game. I would do exactly what Bob Vecna said, but to say, hey, I'm running this game. Who wants to play? And that's it. That's the beginning and end of the conversation. Unless I'm running a group, and then I'm like, hey, guys, let's play a new game. What do you want to play? Here's the 3 things I'm thinking I might be in the mood to run. Do any of those signify for you? Is there a 4th one maybe one of you suggest? Let's find out.
Yeah.
But I don't pitch.
I think I've been lucky in having the same, or more or less the same group for about 20, 30 years. Members come in and out, but the core group. So I do have to pitch to that group. If I'm turning up to a club and I got a new system, I'll just be like, I'm running this. This is what it's all about. Who wants to play?
Okay. I was in the military, so while we would have a static group for a short time, people would be in and out. And then after that, I've just traveled all over the world. So I've never really had a static group for anything longer than a couple of years. I think 2.5 years, longest game I ran. And that was this one. So real quickly, Dean said something that I might have to have an argument with him on a different live stream at some point, because I would pitch Earthdawn in one respect a completely different way. He said, talked about, I forget the word you used, but you talked about how basically how open-ended it is. No, it's very closed. Disciplines require you to act a very certain way. And I love it. It's one of the first things I loved about Earthdawn was all sword masters do X. Now, it doesn't mean X, Y, Z, A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, but they all do X. They all must be showmen. Without that, you cannot be a sword master. You suffer a discipline violation. But how you do that showmanship is different to each character. That's individualized. Is that what you? So what I like to describe
that's exactly what okay. I'm referring to. Whereas within AD&D, you advance a level, you don't get much in the way of choices as to what you do, and you advance a level when you get a certain amount of XP. Within Earthdawn, you gained legend, and how you spent that legend.
Okay, I see what you're saying now.
And it's that flexibility. And then when you had so many skills at a certain level, you could then purchase the advancement to your next level.
Yeah, it was backwards. I love that too. It's like like earning your belt in martial arts. The idea
Absolutely.
So that's definitely a selling point for me. You don't have to gain XP to get a level. You all of a sudden find out that you qualify for this because you have the capabilities of it. Absolutely. For me, without taking a lot of time here, because we got to move on to the next segment. I'll point to one thing that I love outside the dice system, because I love the step system as well, and that is the way magic works. In D&D, I got a +1 sword. Now I got a +2 sword. Throw that one away. Now I got a +3 sword. Throw that way. No, the magic in Earthdawn binds to you, or you bind to it technically. Now, you can get rid of it in the future if you really, really want to for some reason, but this weapon grows with you as you're gaining legends, as you're learning more about this item, as you use it more and become one with the item, it becomes more and more powerful with you. It's its own story, for lack of a better term, of its own. And I can go into 100 other things, but that would be one of my selling points. Eric was in my Earthdawn game. Good to see you, Eric. So that was one of the main reasons this became one of my favorite games, is because things were meaning. Almost every aspect of the game was meaningful to the character and to the game.
I can agree there. I like that.
With that said, I have to shut up because I will keep going on about Earthdawn. Everybody here knows it. So I guess we're going to leave that there. Is there anything that you guys left on the table in terms of why people leave D&D for another game that you want to bring up quickly before we hit some chat and move on? Okay. I'm going to take that as a no. Awesome. So don't forget to like this video, subscribe to all of the panelists' channels, which you can find in the description, or their Drive Therapy, whatever they've got going on. They're there. Look, these guys have given up their time to be on this show, to give you this content. Go check out their channels and go check out the stuff and links in the description. You do that. And if you're watching a video later, go do it now. If you're watching live stream, well, do it in another tab. That's
leave the live stream.
There you go. Your likes, your comments, your shares help keep this type of conversation going and reaching more RPG fans. And we may be looking for you, a panelist like you. Sign up on the GMI Discord, read the rules, and find a panel topic that interests you. There you go. Sorry, Bob. I know. I know. But hey, it's great. We got another Earthdawn fan on. So, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, it's hard for me to shut up. I got a panel to run here. Coming soon in segment 2, the panelists will discuss how different systems change what happens at the table. We'll see if they decide to do that generally or get specific. I don't know. We'll find out in a moment. But before we do that, let's take a look at your super chats and some member comments. I only starred one as far as I remember here. Oh, it says 2. Oh, that's because Vecna, hey guys, this is what I'm running. Unless you want a GM. There was some of that, Bear said that's how it happened with him a lot of times. There was some of that. Like people, for me, somehow, with one caveat, I had one moment in my life where this wasn't true. People really liked it when I finally said I'm going to run a game at some point after they saw me as a gamer and like how I do things, whatever else. So it was kind of that simple. That's one of the ways I was able to push this through so much. Plus, I would just keep talking up until somebody would be like, fine, run the dumb game, okay? And then they never left. But there is some of that. But for some people, and I saw this also, again, being in the military and having people with, I want to run, and I want to run, and I want to run. I mean, we had like 4 or 5 different games going on. We had a Champions game going on. We had a Palladium Fantasy, a Rifts game going on. We had a Warhammer, I don't know which edition. I made a Grave Robber for it going on, and then and basically what you ended up doing was kind of picking and choosing the GM that you liked. I mean, for lack of a better term.
Yeah,
and that would be the game that lasted. Now they were better about this than me, and you guys, you guys to jump in a second. I'm pretty much like what Bear said, or even like what Bob said, even more so. This is the game I'm going to run. Do you want to play? I don't let people say, oh, I'd rather you ran this other game. I'd rather do, fine, then you guys go do that. Maybe I'll play. But me, I told you this is what I'm going to run, so this is what it's going to be. I don't negotiate with people when it comes to that. What are your thoughts on that? We'll start with Arch since it's his segment. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that's a perfectly valid way to approach it. I'm very fortunate to have players that for the last 2 years have been perfectly content to just play my game system. So I haven't had to deal with that, but I think that depends on how honorary you are. If you want if you want to be all friendly with your friends and they're like, oh man, I really want to do this, I don't want to play that, then you feel more obliged to negotiate. But if you're old and you're like, dude, I don't care, I'm playing this or we're not playing, and the other person knows you're not bluffing, then they're like, all right, fine. I think that really has to do with your relationship with your players.
Sure. Dean, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I've taken that approach in the past, which is pick up a new system, guys. I'm going to run this. Who wants in? If it's a large group, you soon find if the players are interested or not, because the number of times you pick up what looks like a very interesting system, players start to play it, they don't gel with it, it kind of falls aside, and then you just pick up something else and play that instead. Yep. So it's just kind of saying, this is what I'm going to do. Who's in? Is the perfect way to get a new game running.
And Bear?
I agree.
Okay. All right. I had one more thing I was going to say, but I forgot what it is. Let's move on. Full Metal Dragon says Neon Odyssey, which, oh my God, I cannot. Those commercials on YouTube have to go away. I'm so sick of them.
That's why I pay for premium, baby.
Well, I have premium on for my Legion of Myth account, not for my personal account, because I don't want to pay for it twice. But Neon Odyssey, which uses 5.5, just got around 15 million on Kickstarter. People might quit D&D, but the game system is still very strong.
Yes, it is.
Anything you guys want to say on that, starting with Arch?
The engine is decently strong. I mean, it's lasted this long. I think a lot of people like the engine. It's just everything that you put on top of it that constitutes the entire game system, 5th edition. That is what people often change with stuff like I've never heard of whatever this game is, but stuff like that I'm sure changes a lot of those pain points, removes the pain points.
Yeah, there's a lot of people using the 5.5 engine to create their own creations, but it's how heavily modified it becomes to support that. So we've interviewed a few people. I'm thinking of Yang, who does Empire: The Undying Sun, which is a great setting. He uses both 1E and 5E, but he's had to heavily modify 5E in certain areas to make the game far more challenging and to suit a more horror-based campaign setting. So yeah.
And Bear, what are your thoughts on 15 million for a D&D?
Do you really want my thoughts? All right, here are my thoughts. It's, have you looked at it?
Just the commercial, not the game itself.
It's weed, man. It's the anime crowd come to life.
I've seen the artwork. The art is god awful.
It's tapped into every Gen Z archetype and pressure point that you can. They should just change the name to Gen Z, the role playing game. and it'll be very happy for them, and they'll make it, and it's good for them. You know what? Congratulations. Just like I said for Kelsey, Shadowdark's not for me in the end, but congratulations on your success. You saw Zeitgeist, you capitalized on it. Well done. I don't design games for Zeitgeists, so I will never have a $15.5 million Kickstarter. I'll be lucky if I have a $5,000 Kickstarter, right? But in regards to that, just like 90% of the OSR could have been a zine article as opposed to an entire new game system, 90% of these 5e games could have just been a, hey, here's some house rules for 5th edition that you could play. Just use these instead. That simple, right? The fact that we get entire games built around them, entire settings built around them, why not just build the setting with some house rules and go that way? Why do we have to reinvent the wheel every time for a 5.5 game? But hey, I'm doing it right now for 5, so who knows? Maybe I'm wrong.
All
Wouldn't
right.
be the first time.
Well, that is it for our chats for this segment. So let's move on to our next segment, which covers how different systems change what happens at the table. And we will once again meet Dean. Who are you? What content do you create? And what is your tabletop RPG experience?
I'm Dean from Evereye Games. I'm the creator of a system called Untold Destiny, having jumped on the bandwagon. I was intending to do it in the 5e framework, but Wizards really did a number with the OGL stuff, so I created my own system, multi-D20, very similar, but incredibly different. However, I've got 39 years of role-playing experience behind me, starting with basic D&D, doing some 1e, 2e, before exploring the wider world of games we had, from things like MERPs to Warhammer Fantasy Battle, Torg, Earthdawn, and many, many others. So I've run a lot of games, and I've played in a few. I've ended up being a forever DM, so I really now get to play.
I got a swinging W in my chat. What is all that?
A swinging W?
Swinging W?
I don't know what that was. Scared the crap out of me. Anyway, it's some YouTube thing. Somebody did something. Whoever did something, thanks, I guess. I don't know what that was. But you made me forget what I was going to say. Oh, you're 1 year away from my 40 years.
I know. Yeah.
All right. Well, Dean, starting with you. When you change systems, what changes most at a table? And just some examples that put out there for people to kind of think about. Is like, is it campaign pacing? Is it character risk? How you handle rulings, combat mechanics, exploration themes, role playing, yada, 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 just to kind of get the brain juices flowing. But what changes most at the table when you change system?
Okay, it all depends what your change. So I'm assuming changing from a D&D based game to a different system. So I would always, what would change would be covering the differences straight away. So setting expectations. I always like to set expectations for the player so they understand what kind of game I will be running. It's called Session 0 now, but normally it would be character creation back in our day. I'd invite people around, let's create some characters, let's talk about what we're going to run. So I'd explain the campaign, the style of campaign. I'll explain what kind of character creation methods we'd be using in accordance with the new system we're going to. And I would also start to talk about some of the big differences between what they were used to and what we're going into. So for example, and using Earthdawn as the example again, explaining that we've been playing a very fantasy-based, high fantasy. Earthdawn is not. It's a lot more low fantasy, a lot more horror-based. So explaining to the players the kind of different styles of from what they're going to, from what they had to what they're going to. When I did, and it's not fantasy, but I ran Shadowrun for quite a bit. Again, it was explaining to the players, this is a very different system, uses only D6s, combat is a lot slower, but a lot more involved, and then the lethality of the system. So you're going from something where lethality might have been quite low, where you have to be incredibly unlucky or have very poor tactics to lose a character, to a system where no matter how careful you are, if you're caught out in a corridor and you've got 3 people shooting at you, likelihood is you're going to go down pretty fast. So it's all about letting the players know what that journey is, what they should expect when they start to play the system. And then just answering questions. If it's a system that I haven't really played myself, so it's the first time I'm running it, it's also to explain that, okay, we're going to take things very slowly. the first combat will probably be quite slow. And bear in mind, any mistakes that are made, we might have to revisit what we've agreed before and correct it. But to go in with the player's understanding, it's the first time, so there may be mistakes made. There may be rules that are interpreted incorrectly, but the moment that is found out, we'll just correct that and move on. And generally, you know, having a relaxed table where the players understand what you're running, how you're running it, and the fact that this is all about having fun around the table. So, you know, let's just give it our best and have fun.
Okay. You guys want to give your answers or piggyback on that or continue discussion? Or should I ask a follow-up? All right, I guess you solved world hunger, Dean.
Well done, Dean.
You would be the
Cheers.
one to do it, Dean.
I'm off to Camp David, Dean, to sign the peace accord. Well done, sir.
Thank you, Bear. That's high praise. Thank you.
So a lot of times when people change game systems, they change to something, and now we've, you know, this might kind of be against what we were saying in segment 1, but a lot of times when they change, they go to something completely different, even if just for a moment. Something that's almost the antithesis of what they're currently playing. When that happens, people cite things like, "Oh, it's faster combat," or "It's cinematic play," or you know, whatever terms you want to use, right? So let's discuss those two things real quickly here. Does faster combat improve cinematic play, or have you noticed that it reduces tactical satisfaction, or is that just merely a type of player issue?
Okay. Faster combat. Just because it's faster doesn't necessarily mean it's better. It all depends what you're after. The biggest problem I have with combats is where you're racing. I mean, a combat is all about racing one side to zero before the other side hits zero, or getting them to flee or having to flee yourself. Any mechanic that resets that race down to zero is a problem for combat because it makes combat slow, but it also makes combat a grind. And that's the biggest problem. You can have a fast combat, and it could be over within, 10, 15 minutes. And then you're left feeling, well, that was so quick. What did we actually do? But if that's only a small part of the game, and combat is kind of a very quick thing you resolve because you want to get back to the more important part of the game, that isn't a problem. But if the game is centered around combat and the combats are super fast, is that giving you enough time to do tactics, to think about things, to be cinematic? So it really does depend on what you're after. It depends on the system. My view is I love combat systems, but I do not like grindy combat systems where you keep having these resets. And one of the biggest problems I had in my last D&D campaign is the big heals that would go off that reset the encounter. So the last hour that you spent slogging away has been undone. And the only way to kind of combat that is you got to try and do counter spells or anti-magic, and then that just makes the whole game terribly unfun for certain players. And you're almost rewriting the rules at that point. So in answer to your question, faster does not necessarily mean better, but it depends what you want from the combat. And I like combat systems, and I like a combat that gives you tactical options, that doesn't drag on for hours, but isn't over within minutes. So it's that kind of sweet spot in between where players can almost discuss their tactics. And I know the last time I was on here, we talked about players taking time to discuss tactics in the middle of combat. And I'm one of these people. I like it. I like it when my players strategize. And if they take too long, I'll bring up the hourglass or the minute glass and give them a time limit. But it depends what the table wants. It depends what the players want and what the GM wants. My view is I think combat in the middle, not too long, but not super short, is really good. I think we've lost Bear.
No. Oh, hey.
Oh,
We almost lost Bear.
almost.
Hey, buddy. That was rude. I run mostly superhero games, so combat is a key part of the game. Therefore, I want a robust combat system, but I also prefer systems. You're going down. You're getting bad. I also prefer systems that have degrees of success that allow for things like one-shot kills and things like that, where if the dice just go against the guy, and oh my god, he's dead, or he's unconscious, or he's been captured, or whatever the case may be. But also I have the luxury within a superhero game of, GM Fiat and Deus Ex Machina and all these other things that are part of the genre and therefore good. I have friends who love super tactical. In fact, there's a bunch of guys I used to play with. We're not role-playing together anymore right now, but they have a 5e fight club they're running, where they just make builds at different levels and then fight each other. It's like, wow, that must be so much fun. I can't believe we gave up role-playing to do that. Oh, yay. But I'm trying to convince them to play test Heroic 5e with their fight club, right? So they have a benefit. For me, at the end of the day, I prefer storytelling, role-playing. I don't want big drawn-out combats, even in a superhero game. I want to have fast combats and get back to the soap opera of the inter-character relationships, which is why nothing makes me laugh more than people who watch my live streams and would bitch that my NPCs were too active. Really? Should they just have exclamation points above their heads and then just give out quests? Would that make it better? And I often find that when people complain about the style of game I run, which I am a self-confessed, dirty, filthy story gamer, all the complaints they're making, I can point them in the direction of World of Warcraft. Handles all the complaints that they're having, and they can get exactly the experience they want there. So I don't know why they're complaining about what I do or why they hated 4th edition D&D. What are you going to do? There it is. Combat is part of the engine, part of the game. I don't like when games hand-wave it too much, but I also don't like games that make it, living steel. It's too tactical. It's too much, at that point in time. So, that's where I sit on that fence.
Arch, what are your thoughts?
I think that can you repeat the question that you gave to Dean, just so I have an anchor?
Yeah, I'll give you the simpler version of it, which is, does faster combat improve cinematic play or reduce tactical satisfaction?
Cinematic play, that's what I was going toward. Okay, so in my opinion, if the goal, if your goal as a player, when it comes to any part of the gaming experience, is to get it over with quickly, you should consider why you're engaging with that part of the system at all. You don't dance to get it over with. You don't listen to music to get it over with. You want to enjoy the process. So I think if the combat is actually good, it doesn't matter that much how long it goes because you're enjoying the whole time. Same thing with any social interaction or travel sequence. Anything that you're doing in the game should actually be so fun that you're not just like, oh man, can we get it over with, please? But to the question of, does faster combat make it more cinematic, more thrilling and action-packed and such? I think so, yes. I think every moment of silence, every all right, roll. 17. I think every time where you have that massive lull in the action does cut the tension and just bring that action dial lower. And so I do like fast combat, not so I can get it over with, but because the fast combat is the most enjoyable. It's like, yeah, I want to listen to metal because it's fast music. It's not that I want the song to be shorter. It's that I want the song to be faster itself. I want there to be more action to it. So yes, I think fast combats, but not necessarily short combats.
So the anxiety and the tension that builds around rolling dice, though, is part of the process. So there is something I really enjoy about watching a player go, all right, hang on, that whole little pantomime you did, that's me going, oh, and then we get a result. And then we know how the thing goes on. That's part of the process. That's part of the flavor. It's not a bug. It's a feature, right? But that could be a generational thing. That could be an age thing. Like you just said, you love metal because it's faster. I love metal because I love metal. But I also like other types of music, like I'm saying, but there's other stuff I like too. One of the things that I can't agree with on the whole, is it better cinematic and all that? Cinematic is how you describe it at the end of the day. One of the things I cannot stand is the argument that, well, hit points represents blah, 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 and a combat round is supposed to be a minute of time, and then every roll is 15 feints and 73 repartees and 47 Hail Marys. No, I've never seen D&D played like that. I'm sure people have. But I have never seen D&D played like that, and I've reached my 40 years.
Thank you.
I've seen it's always roll the dice. You hit him. Oh, he hit you. It's not. Oh, you faint and dance around the floor for 5 minutes.
Yes,
no.
Thank you. A voice of reason. Hit points are not an abstract representation of luck and stamina and your will to fight. No, it's not. No one plays it that way. You have hits and attacks and damage. Don't tell me it's an abstraction. It's not. The language. Anyway, we agree, Bear. Thank you.
Yeah. Buy a lotto ticket, folks. It's a cold day in hell.
Wow. Wow.
I got to agree with Bear on the dice rolling, which is I open dice roll when I run a game, and it has the players on hooks. And when the player's making that critical roll, everybody around the table just stops. They watch that dice being rolled. I think, though, I agree with you, Arch, which is the actions need to be fast. If you've and this is where, for example, a multi-attacking fighter is one of the worst things to ever happen. You're running a high-level campaign. You got a fighter that is rolling 4 sets of attacks. They've just been hasted. They've got 5 sets of attacks, and each attack takes time. They roll dice. They do, have I hit? They then roll the damage, and then they're picking dice and they're rolling dice, and at that point, people who are looking at that dice roll and going, "Ooh," are now getting bored by the 3rd one and have switched off by the 4th one, and on their devices, the 5th one just quickly gets done and resolved. Having a single dice roll that is impactful, that has an effect. So a single dice roll that could potentially kill an opponent in one go, that gets people's attention. People are looking at that. People around the table, they are drawn into the combat, becoming immersed in the combat, because they're seeing not just a dice roll, they're visualizing that character trying to do something, and is that character going to be successful or not? So I do, dice rolling is such an important part of the game.
But you keep in mind, there's a psychology behind the people that say, it slows down the game. It doesn't slow down the game. It slows down when you get to take your turn. And that's your issue with it, is that you just want to be the superstar. And I found the simplest solution to that, which is this. I never roll dice. They do. I use active defense. I give them static numbers. I just say, okay, save. When they want to, I'm going to use my mind power against the guy. Well, the rules say he has to make a save versus that. But instead, you're going to make a roll versus his static defense, his static save plus 10 or whatever. And therefore, now you're constantly the person rolling. You're always active. The players are always rolling the dice. And then all the DMs will go, but I want to roll dice too. No, you want to be a player. And that's
I want to roll dice too. I like the randomness.
You want to be a player, and that's fine, because I get the exact same level of randomness by letting them be the rollers. It doesn't change anything. Nothing goes differently. Nope. It's me rolling against a static number or them rolling against a static.
But no, I non-static numbers, because they roll and you roll, and now you see which one's better.
Really, they roll their armor class. I didn't know they did that in D&D. That's a new rule.
If you're talking just D&D, but that isn't the only game out there.
Aren't we talking about D&D tonight, sir? I thought we were.
Well, it's gone off the rails when it comes to that, but if you want to go with D&D, fine.
That's a different podcast, actually.
Egomaniac. Sorry, what was that, Max? Couldn't hear you over your ego.
Opposed rolling, attack versus defense, it really does get people on, because it's that dynamic of a static number is static, whereas if you've got 2 numbers, that a bad roll can still succeed. If your person you're rolling against gets an even worse roll. And I found, so long as the resolution of that dice rolling is fairly quick, it can build a lot of tension around the table, because you got the player rolling and they're like, oh yeah, I got a 15 plus, I've got this, and then I roll and it's like, oh my god, you got an 18, and
right.
Or
but Chaosium gives you that. That's baked right into Chaosium, so that's a different game style. I'm specifically talking about a D&D style game.
That's fair, because it is technically supposed to be about D&D. It's just we've gone off the rails a little bit, so that's fair.
In which case, I stand my ground on multi-attacking. It's so boring in D&D, because everybody switches off whilst the fighter rolls X number of attacks at high level.
I'm really glad you circled back to that, Dean. I don't think multi-attacking itself is the problem. I think D&D's version of multi-attacking is a problem. This is what I mean, Bear, by the specific system in its totality. All right, here's the example. Okay, if you had a character who could do 4 different really cool things. He's like, I can shoot this whiplash area over there to all 4 of those guys and knock them into the center line. Then I can use my next action to do a cone and hit blast all of them. Then I can use my 3rd action to grab that chandelier off the ceiling and pull it low. And then my ally jumps on it. Then I can use the 4th action to set it on fire to, give him blazing boots so he can attack his enemy, right? That's not as boring. I mean, yes, one player is kind of hogging the spotlight and they have 4 actions, but that's cool. The problem is how D&D does it. I sit here and I roll damage against a static AC. I sit here and I roll damage. I sit here and I roll damage. And at the end, each one does a single die damage. Oh, I did a D10 damage. It's 5. I did another D10. It's 5 more, right? The problem isn't that it's multi-attack. It's that it's multiple boring attacks. That's what I mean by the system is flawed in its totality. It has to do with, HP bloat, high AC, all sorts of things that make each attack it's almost inconsequential.
Yeah, I
That's
don't
the
play
real
D&D
problem.
at those levels, so I never run into those problems because the
And-
game breaks
and-
once you get past level 6 or 7. So who cares?
One of the
Yeah.
things to be clear, and I know all these guys know it. Most of you probably know it, but just in case you don't, everybody. I'll use Kevin Simbita's words for this. Role playing is personal. So that means everybody's going to be looking for something a little different. One of the things that we used to talk about all the time in the 90s, I remember Garthon, I used to hate the word because Garthon would say it all the time, is immersion, 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 immersion. But I think that's probably the most important part of this. How do you get your immersion? Well, in this, I tend to agree with Dean and Bear more than I do Arch, where it's like that the die rolling aspect of it is part of the immersion for me. That excitement, that buildup is like, all right, can we do it? Can we do it? It's why I like dice pool systems over a dumb D20. I find D20s boring. Deep percentile dice are a little better, but not by much. Where it's like, okay, I roll. Okay, well, 1 success, 2 success. Yes, I got the 3rd success. Awesome. Let's move on. There's something about that because it is a role playing game for me. Now, other people want to build characters and make hit points go away. That's exactly what they want out of they're playing the role. I'm the fighter. My job is to have 4 attacks per round and make dice go big and hit points go low. Other people want role playing in the more ROLE style, which I lean towards as a player. And they're like, oh my God, why are we wasting time rolling dice? Rolling all these dice. Can't we just get this forward? Why can't my sword kill in one blow? I'm saying all this, I'm bloviating on all this because I want to just put out there that it is true. Different strokes for different folks in this. And one of the things that we're trying to discuss here is how different D&D does it a very particular way. And Bear did get us kind of back on track with that. D&D does it a particular way, but how other games can either enhance that or that might not be an enhancement for your opinion. So,
Is that a question?
No. I was kind of piggybacking on what you guys all said because, to be fair, the conversation had kind of gone in a few different directions, even though it was just one question. So I wanted to tie it all back together. That this whole concept is personal. This whole concept, Bear might not like something that Arch absolutely loves. I might not like something that Dean loves, even if we both like Earthdawn. There are things in there that you're going to find the balance of. Do you like all of this? Do you like some of this? Do you like none of it? And we move on. I mean, the 4D guys give us crap all the time, right? Oh, you're not actually role playing, and I won't allow them to change the definition of the term, so they don't get to make that claim, but they can think it all they want. It's stuff like that. On the flip side, I have people like, oh my God, you stupid story gamers. They watch Bear's game that we were in. You stupid story gamers, all you're just sitting there, it's like blah, 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 table LARPing all the time. Yeah, that's fun too.
Floats your boat, yeah. What you're saying here about the different types of immersion is something I actually cover in my game system. It's just after the introduction that there's immersion into the world, the escapism. I want to be in a different place. There's the immersion into the thrill of the combat of the game system itself, where I like that tension of the dice rolling. Then there's immersion into the drama, the character interaction. I want to feel like I'm talking to this other person. And then fourthly, there's the immersion into your own character, what I call immersive roleplay or deep roleplay, where it's like I am this person, right? Those are the 4 different types of immersion that most people go for, but most people don't have the vocabulary to say, yeah, I want immersion into the world. I want the world to feel real, right? That's Alexander McCrease. Or I instead of power gamer, I want immersion into the system, the game system. I want combat to be tense. Or I want immersion into the drama. I want immersion into the characters, aka role playing, aka the 4D crowd, right? People don't really have the vocabulary to say exactly what they want. They say, oh yeah, immersion, and it's too nebulous. That's one of the reasons I made my game system, is to give people the vocabulary to actually talk about what they're actually looking for.
I think we just use different terms because, verisimilitude would be, immersion into the setting. First-person role-playing would be, or what I like to call as being in the headspace of my character would be, the deep role-play, as you're calling it. I mean, we had terms for it. We just used them differently.
Yeah. That's why I use numbers. First immersion, second immersion, third, and fourth. Just so people have a better...
And we're back to 4D role-playing. All right.
Not 4D roleplay.
It's the same concept because they had 1D, 2D, 3D, 4D.
It's not D, it's immersion. It's 1, 2, 3, 4
okay,
I.
1 I, 2 I, 3 I.
There we go. It's 4 I immersion, not 4D roleplay.
Oh. All right. Any other questions here I want to ask? What are we looking at for time? Nope, I don't want to ask anymore. We got to get to the next segment. So anything else you guys want to add to in terms of anything you want to say? When you change systems, what changes most at the table? Do you feel you got to answer that? We'll start with Dean, of course, his question. Do you feel you got to answer that, or Do you want to have one more alibi?
I've got nothing to add to that. No.
Okay, Bear.
I'm a meat popsicle.
Okay, Arch.
Yeah, I don't even remember hearing that question asked. What
That
changes-
was literally the original question of the segment. When
Yeah,
you
okay.
change systems, what changes most at the table?
Okay. Sorry. Yeah, I do have something on that. I apologize.
Go ahead, Bear. Yeah.
Okay. Everything changes because it's a different goddamn game. like why do we need? I'm sorry. That's a really.
But it says what changes most at the table.
The system, how you resolve the issues, how you resolve.
Okay,
skill
that
checks.
doesn't help new people out there who might be considering changing game. What are things I'm going to have to run into? They know the system's going to change, but what are some considerations or things that tend to change the most? This is why I sent the questions out early.
Okay, hang on. Calm down. Breathe. Woosah. All right, children, listen up. When you're playing games that aren't D&D, they will sometimes use different dice to resolve things. They may not have classes and levels. They may not have hit points. They may have wound tracks. They may have degrees of success. Before you get into a game, you should do some research online to see. My friends and I are trying to find a board game we can all play together because we don't have time to role play anymore. So I watched about 15 different how to play games this week on YouTube, and that helped us decide that we were going to go with BattleTech Alpha Strike because it was the one that seemed like the system was most compatible for all of us. If you think you're going to get the exact same thing as D&D, well, you're the guy who has Metallica on the brain and then picked up a Carpenter's album and couldn't understand why they weren't doing Metallica songs. All right, that better, Max? That helped the newbies? Did I help them with condescending bullshit?
Sure.
All right. So glad I could bring my condescending bullshit to the table tonight.
All right, Archie, what did you want to say?
Yeah. So, what changes? Not quite mimicking Bear's reaction there, but it really depends on the system. A million things could change. A million things could stay the same. If you're going from Pathfinder to Pathfinder 2, what changes, right? If you're going from D&D to Pathfinder D&D to Call of Cthulhu, Powered by the Apocalypse. I mean, I think it's so vague of a question. Like anything could change.
Okay. I'm gonna read the question one more time for folks. I think you're missing some nuance in this question. I'm gonna read the whole thing, including the examples that I gave. Maybe I should emphasize this word more. When you change systems, what changes most at the table? Examples can be campaign pacing, character risk, how you handle rulings, combat mechanics, exploration themes, role-playing, etc. This ties into two things. One, what Bear was talking about there, when you change a system, mechanics are going to change. You got to understand that. But also, what does that tend to do to you? I can tell you, I mean, I've got a very simple answer for this one.
Please share.
Oh, for me, it's how I handle death. It's how gritty, because you guys know I like a grittier game. That's the biggest thing. This is actually why I run Earth Dawn, and why compared to D&D. D&D is my grit game. Even though it has hit points, it's my grit game. Or now Forbidden Lands would be my grit game. Earth Dawn is my heroic game because you can do some insanely heroic things in there, but you still can, but you're probably not going to kill somebody in one swing because of all the heroic abilities that are in there. So if I want something that's power fantasy, I lean towards Earth Dawn. If I want something that's going to be a little more grimy, a little more low magic because of how I run it, not because of how the base game is, I would go D&D.
Cool. But that's one aspect. So the
Yes,
question, then hang on. I go back to agreeing with Arch again. Hell is frozen over. Buy your lotto tickets now. It was a very vaguely worded question and it does not allow for an easy answer to please you, my lord. We apologize.
It's not
we
about
are but
pleasing
serfs
me.
and peasants beneath you, sir.
No, it's not about pleasing me. It's about answering the question
so
so that new players can understand what
Are there
can happen when they
players in
change
our
systems.
audience, by the way? Is there
Actually, people, I've been getting comments, not watching live, but they do watch after the fact, yes.
I'm just going to keep fucking with you now, so you might as well just move on to someone else, because I'm just going to keep going until I get you mad, so ignore me.
Okay. So we'll ignore you for the third question, too. No.
Excellent. Thank you. I'll go smoke a cigarette.
All right, Arch, go ahead and finish up what you're saying.
No, I think I'm good.
Okay. Awesome. Well, then let's move on here. I don't need that. What are we going to be talking about? Oh, actually, before we do that, so don't forget to share this video. Tap the hype button if you have it. Help us get this discussion trending. Without your support, there will be no 2027. I haven't said that much on the Friday streams. I've been harping out on the Sunday streams. I mean this in all sincerity. We are, 41% through the year, if I did my math right? We are at I forget how much on income. I think it's 16% income. That means we will not have a Legion of Myth will shut its doors in 2027. There will not be this show if we don't make up that difference by the end of the year. And I don't think it's going to happen. So with that in mind, you or somebody you know may make an amazing panelist. Sign up on the GMI Discord, link in the description, read the rules, find a panel topic that interests you. In segment 3, our panelists will talk about running non-D&D games for D&D native players. That's going to be fun. But let's finish this segment up with our super chats. And honestly, we don't have any super chats yet again. This is why we're not making it towards our goal and why these panels will be over at the end of the year if we don't make it. But I did forget to read a Rumble rant that came through in the first segment. To be fair, I can't put them up on the screen here. It's the one weird thing about Rumble. I can show Rumble chat. See if I can scroll back to one real quickly. It's too far away. But I can't put up the Rumble rants, which is dumb. But he says, for $5, thank you very much. Says, thanks for remembering us Rumblers. Well, yeah, last week I had a little boo-boo where forgot to start the Rumble portion of it for at least like 15 minutes or so. It might have even been longer. So I apologize for that. But yes, I remembered this time. I was sure to remember. We do have a couple new memberships. Dean, who's on the panel, see, he buys his way on the panel. That's how we do things here. Become a member today, and you too can post a fancy message like this. Thank you very much, Dean. I appreciate that. And Howden Steven says, I can't. I became a member 2 months ago. You can't what?
He can't become a member today.
Oh, well, okay, fair enough. You can't become one today, but you can re-up it, and we'll treat you like you're a newbie if you want. I thought there was a question. I thought Full Metal Dragon had another comment that I wanted to start. I thought I did, but I guess I didn't. So we are going to move on here. So I know I got, I don't have vodka, but I have some whiskey sitting right there just waiting for the proper super chat to turn me into an alcoholic. All right, Bear.
Night.
I can't talk to you anymore, but I'm going to because it's literally your segment now. First of all, who are you? What content do you create? And what is your tabletop RPG experience?
Told you not to talk to me. Now you're talking.
Hey, no threats on YouTube, sir.
Okay, sorry. Hi, I'm Bear, the Gen X GM. I am a dirty, filthy story gamer. I run my own channel, which has been renamed the Four Color Cafe because I'm focusing back on superheroes because, frankly, I'm tired of arguing about fantasy and sci-fi with people who just want to play D&D and Star Frontiers all the time. I'm currently working on proving myself wrong, which was I've said for years, you cannot run a decent superhero game using a class and level system. And then I think I figured out how to do it. So I'm creating my Heroic 5e, which will be coming soon. If you're on my Patreon, you already got it. And the playtest is up on Drive-Thru-RPG. Link down below, I believe, is the link I gave you today.
Yeah.
Mr. Max. Liao.
Yes, sir.
And for the first time in many decades, I'm going to be giving Battletech a try soon with Alpha Strike only.
So
And
half
Aces.
Battletech, but he's on his way. We're going to convert him all the way there.
With Aces, because my buddy wants to do cooperative, not competitive. So I'm like, okay, that's fair.
It's great for large unit engagements. It's not BattleTech in the normal sense though. But if you're doing large unit engagements,
that talk just makes me go, this is why I hate fucking BattleTech right there. That's it right there. Y'all are in a cult. Now what's the question, sir?
How do you introduce a non-D&D game to D&D native players? And what helps the group decide whether the switch was worth it? Just real quickly, folks, in the members only section, I'm going to talk about how hard it was, although I kind of hinted at that earlier, how hard it was to pull AD&D 2E people away from that damn game to run Earthdawn. But I always succeeded. It just took forever every single time. So I not resemble this question is one that is a very much a truism in my life. So, anyway, how do you do it? How do you introduce it?
9 times out of 10, I'm not going to offer them a fantasy game. I want to get them away from D&D, so I'm not going to be like, here's fantasy, just a different flavor. No, here's sci-fi, here's superheroes, here's horror, here's spies, here's big stompy robots, whatever the case may be. That's number 1. Number 2, I don't really give them a choice. I'm running this game. Do you want to play? What's the game about? And then I find movies that relate to what the game is about, so that way I can give them a visual interpretation in their mind of what they can expect to be doing. Oh, it's Star Trek. That one's easy. You know what I mean? Oh, it's Star Wars. That one's easy too. Oh, it's kind of like Guardians of the Galaxy sort of meets, Event Horizon. You know what I mean? Oh, okay, well, that sounds interesting. Or no, I'm not interested in that at all. Fine. Then we play. And I have become a big fan, and so have my home group, of just having me make characters for them and go, here, bring this person to life. Like a play, like a movie, figure out who this guy is. Here's the basics of the character, but you're going to decide who he is, where he goes, and how it happens from here moving forward. And that gives them a buy-in beyond the problem of having, well, in my head, I had this scene where I wanted to see this happen. Well, guess what I can't do? Read your mind. So I couldn't give you that scene, so now both of us are unhappy. You're unhappy with the game, and I'm unhappy with your experience in the game. So let's work around that. But not everybody's for that. Some people love to make characters, and God bless them. Fill your boots, make all the characters you want. And then they'll decide at the end, are you enjoying this? Did you not enjoy this? Talk to me. Give me your feedback. And most want to keep going or want to keep trying new things. Some are, we'll play 5th edition. Okay. The caveat, which burned me really good, was when I wanted to play Valorous and play test Valorous. One of the players was like, no, man, I just want to play Heroic. And this is like a big D&D guy. He said, I just want to play Heroic. I'm like, I got to play test this. Yeah, well, let me know when it's over and we can play Heroic again. So sometimes, the new thing becomes their new D&D. So you never know. Does that answer your question, sir?
Wait for the comments to come out. They'll tell you.
Okay.
No. Archdean, anything you guys want to?
You're great, Bear.
Answer.
Okay. Yeah. How I would get players to move to a new system, unless they are game designers themselves and very interested in mechanics, it's probably not going to go too well to say, here's the new action economy for this game. It's more flexible. Here's the new class system and blah, 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 right? Unless they're like a power gamer, you can tell them about all the new classes and powers and whatnot. But mostly, generally, it's going to be the setting. You're going to say, here's a super awesome setting. Here's the cool stuff. Here's the conflict. This is the world you're going to be in, right? Start with that first immersion into the world, into the place. That, I think, is going to draw players in a lot more because, as humans, we're narrative, we're visual, right? So if you can paint a picture of a world and a conflict and the people in it, and you get to be this person in this conflict with all this stuff going on, that's awesome. Like, cool, I want to jump in and be in this world. And then they say, what actual rules and mechanics am I going to have to be in this world, right? That's probably going to go over a lot better than here are all the cool mechanics and whatnot. And I'm like, okay, great, I can have 2d6 when I spend a main action. That's awesome. Right, that's not going to be very inspiring, right? So I generally start with the setting first before the mechanics.
Okay. Dean, anything you want to add to that?
This question conjured in my mind. You're going into, say, for example, a club, a bunch of young people playing D&D, and you're trying to introduce them to something outside of the D&D that all they've ever done is D&D. Mm-hmm. And I'd actually do something that Bear mentioned, which is I'd have pre-generated characters. I'd have a one-shot ready. I'd put down the characters, ask them what their favorite characters were to play, the kind of characters, describe what we have available, they pick, and then I run a one-shot, introducing them slowly to the mechanics. And then at the end, it's, did you enjoy this? How did you feel it? Would you want to play again? And if they're like, yeah, this was fantastic, because it would be different to D&D. So hopefully you've fired up some new imagination. You've got them outside of their comfort zone. You've sold them on the setting, because the one shot would be all about selling them about the theme and the setting of the system. And then hopefully, if they're all on board with that, the next session you have is character creation, where they get to actually create their own characters and play for real. So that would be my approach to something like this.
Yeah, that approach right there is how I got a lot of people to jump into Forbidden Lands because they were skeptical at first. They were looking for something rules. Most of them were Pathfinder players, and I was trying to pull them away from that when I was in that group. I finally got some to play, and they all ended up buying the game. So. The good, unfortunately, I wasn't able to do a long-term campaign with that, but I pretty much followed that process that you did right there. I have a one-shot that I run. It's actually a one-shot I developed for Earthdawn that I just converted over to Forbidden Lands, where they went through it. They saw the mechanics work, and the few groups that I've run, I mean, a couple of them were just generic gamers. I won't go into the stories. One of them had a spurg out moment that I talk about where the guy freaked out and he's like, how the hell are we supposed to beat this? We only have like 8 dice to roll. You're rolling 14 dice on us, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, well, when you attack and you attack and you attack, how many dice is that? Well, I got 8 and he's got 7. So that's more than 14 already, right? Okay. Teamwork. That's how you do it. And once he took his character, backed off, and they fought as a team, they did amazingly. And they all, even him, he's like, that was actually really fun. Like, yeah, the game teaches you not to charge headlong. Oh, look at that. It's a 9-foot-tall Minotaur. I'm a 4-foot dwarf. I got him. So, but they learn stuff like that from that. And they ended up loving the game. But yeah, usually make the characters for them. In my experience, sometimes I'll let them do it depending on the type of game. If it's a deep game, Battlers of 23rd Century, Palladium, something like that. No, I'm going to make the characters for you for your first time. I'll need you inundated. For something rules like Forbidden Lands, I might be like, hey, you can make your own. We'll talk it through if you guys want to see the character creation process, whatever. But yeah, run through it. Like you said, combat might be slow, but that's because you're talking them through like what's happening with it. They got to learn the new system. But once they visualize what's happening and they see how the dice relate to the character's actions, you can really get them in. I didn't mean to talk that long, but there's kind of a lot there. My follow-up question for you guys is this, a little off the wall one here. Oh my God, and I just lost it. I got to learn to write more things down. You know what? Go speak amongst yourselves for a moment. I want to bring this question. Oh no, I got what it is. Nope, I don't. Go ahead. I'm not drunk. I promise you, I'm not drunk or high.
Watching your early onset adult dementia is amazing. Amazing.
So, I can ask another follow up here. There's one that's popped in my head like 4 times. I haven't written down because I keep saying I'll remember it, and this time I don't. But anything you guys want to add on to that? Or do you want me to ask a different follow up for the moment?
Well, I'd like a different follow up since I haven't had a follow up yet. Yeah. That'd be nice.
Okay. Well, I mean, you guys could keep the discussion going, or
fine.
You can do your own follow-ups.
It sounded like we were discussing Earthdawn all of a sudden, so that's why I tuned that. No, but I think the Dean's idea of doing the one shot is a great idea, absolutely. But given most campaigns and most games, on average, don't last more than 6 to 10 sessions anyway, why not just give them pre-gens and go? Let's go through a campaign of 6 to 10 sessions and see how you feel after that.
Yeah, I would definitely give them pre-gens if it's a brand new system. But see, that's kind of a hardship, is that if you have a system like my system that has options for lots of customizability, and that some players would love all the different layers of customizability, like 3 times more than what D&D gives them, then the character creation process could be the big selling point, and maybe not so much just the playing the game itself, right? Oh, well, it's okay. So yeah, that would appeal to some people, but you kind of got to just talk to everyone and be like, hey, what do you actually like about this game? Is it your character building, your min-maxing, your this, that? Is it the talking to people? Is the setting X, Y, Z? I think starting with a one-shot and focusing on the setting is a great start, but you can't end there. You have to, actually meet them where they are.
You also need to be careful about analysis paralysis, right? More people than you think get overwhelmed by having too many choices. This is something we used to teach in sales, right? Which is never give the customer 5 options, because they just will choose nothing because they'll be overwhelmed by the choices. Give them 3, low, medium, and high. And therefore, they will tend to pick one, as opposed to 2, where they'll just pick the lowest one or the easiest one. And more than 3, they tend to not pick at all. They just kind of cash their chips out. So it's the same thing when you're designing a game. If you have too many options for them up front, and the choices that you're making, which is something I do believe D&D does well in the modern age, is start streamlining and focusing your choices and narrowing your path into the future. It's much better for players than just saying, here's the wide world of choices, and every level you're going to have to pick stuff. Good luck. You know what I mean? And it just gets a little bit weird. Now, that said, I'm not someone who gets analysis paralysis, but I've seen enough of it in my time as a designer and a GM to know that it's not always the best answer. And that's why pre-gens are better, because you can just go, here's a character, learn what they do, and let's play the game together. Dean?
It's that balancing act, isn't it? Systems which don't give you any choice become boring really fast. Systems that give you too much choice, you can be. It's a steep learning curve to understand what choices you need to make or what choices will fit. I'm reminded of Pathfinder. When I ran a Pathfinder game, in between versions of D&D, I had 3 people who were Redditors, and all they did was bring Reddit characters pre-designed. it was my first time running Pathfinder, and I was bombarded with this oracle that had blind sight. I was bombarded with an eidolon, I think it was summoner eidolon, and I was bombarded with another one of these sort of power characters, and nothing took the fun out of the game as fast as that. There were too many choices, too many cookie cutter builds in Pathfinder, that it wasn't you making a fun choice, it was you designing a character that was incredibly effective and overpowered anybody else in the group. So my other two players who created fun characters did pretty much nothing, because the options that were chosen by the other players were just down this cookie cutter build of I'm going to be overpowered and there's nothing you can do about it. So Bear, you're right. It's that level of choice, and it's also making sure those choices are meaningful and not a one route has to be chosen to be ultra effective or to be a power game.
Well, this is the thing, right? This is the build problem that sort of just introduced into the game, right? The idea of I'm going to win the game.
Yep.
We went from a game where there was no winning to now it's I'm going to win the game. And it's like, well, okay. Well, then, you know what? Once again, World of Warcraft is just sitting there waiting for you, buddy. You can build all the stuff you want and you can win the game, you know? So have fun. We're going to sit over here and make characters that are flawed, not maximized, not designed to be the most damage per round output or whatever the case may be. And we're going to have fun because those flaws are going to bring out character in role playing. And that's going to be a really exciting thing to do.
Well, Bear, I'm going to piggyback on that because that was one of my, I remembered my question. This isn't it, but since you're already talking about that, I wrote down, because Dean brought up the whole idea of, too much choice, and you're saying that. I've run into that situation. I'm not going to say the scenario again here. I've said it on a few other live streams, but the players that say, oh my God, I can't believe you did that with your character. Great, we're screwed. They act like if you don't do it perfectly, you don't completely synergize everything, and you don't dot every I and cross every T and have your character scoped out all the way to level 20, even though you're only level 2 right now. And they're like, what is wrong with you? Why are you trying to ruin the game for everybody? What do you
if your character wasn't, if you didn't take, why didn't you take that spell? Because it didn't fit the theme of my character. Yeah, but with that spell, you can,
right.
And then we could lock down, fuck off, go play World.
But those people actually say, well, yeah, but if you're not doing that, then you're not playing the game to its full potential.
Well, those people are wrong, and they can be wrong, and they should go play video games because video games allow them to do what they want to do. I'm sorry. I can't put it any straighter than that. I can't be any more obstinate about it, and I can't be any more opinionated about it. That's what I think.
100%. That's actually the same answer I give. I agree with you. So now there's a Daniel from Driving a Dragons. He's a very big 3.5 proponent, and when he and I have talked behind the scenes, I hate to say it, but he's a unicorn. Okay, what he does in the game is not what most people do. So, I don't know if he's watching right now, but if he is, he's probably like, oh my God, they're railing on this again. Yeah, but most people don't do what he does. I actually like the sound of what he is tried to put together for 3X, even if I would still be cringing about 3X. But
can you explain it so we know?
No, I can't because it was a long conversation. But the things that I don't like he puts limits on things that 3X doesn't normally have natural limits on. That's the easiest way to say it. So
that works.
And that's what 3X to me was missing, right? But you'll have those players, as we noted, that will say that. But here's the other question I've got, and this is the one I finally remembered it.
Yay!
4 times it took me, and then I decided to finally write it down. What about players who end up liking a game because of a game master, or the opposite side? Those will be like, oh, I don't care, as long as I'm playing with friends, I can enjoy any game. How is that beneficial for either learning or trying, or problematic for trying a new system? I think both of those are problematic because you don't actually get the truth. Like, man, they loved it when Bear ran it, but now they're saying that the game sucks or whatever because Dean's
I have an actual anecdote on this.
Sure.
My buddies in Vancouver all were huge Mutants and Masterminds fans. Before that, they were huge Champions fans, and they never liked Marvel Phaser, right? They never liked it at all. And then I ran them in a campaign, and my buddy Theo said to me, he goes, I still don't really like the game, but you know it so well, you make it sing that it's fun to play the game. And I'm like, well, there you go. System mastery is a job of a GM. If they're running a game, it is their job to be a master of that game so that they can adjudicate, interpret, respond, do whatever it is they need to do on the scene. So I don't see it as problematic. I see it as problematic when you have a lazy GM. And that's why a lot of GMs will resort to D&D, because they know it back to front. They're already familiar with it, so they can be lazy when they run it. Learning a game takes time. Mastering a game takes more time. And it took me a decade to master that game. But once I mastered it, I was able to clone it for Heroic Classic, right? It was very easy to do because I knew the inner workings, I knew the insides and outs of the system, I knew how everything connected to each other. Therefore, I could modify it. So that brings us back to our rules versus raw versus house rules of, if you don't know the raw, you can't house rule. Well, if you don't know the raw, you can't run an exciting session for your players where they get the most out of the game system. So is it problematic? No.
Okay.
There's a deeper problem that it triggers, and that's bad GMing.
I just know that I ran into situations in the past, and I'll get to Arch and Dean to jump in as well, where it's like, oh man, I don't know if I'll like this game. I don't think I will, but we'll just use you, Bear, because you're talking. Bear's running it, so I'm in. Like, kind of like what you're saying there. And then the flip side is like, I love this game, but this game master sucks so much that he just ruined it for me. Like, I guess what I'm asking here indirectly is, how important is the game master to it, and to not be sold on how good or bad a game is when you switch to it, due to the game master himself.
I think the game master is vitally important.
You and I agree on this, but understand a lot of new players even try to do GM-less games, so they might not necessarily hear that or understand that. So,
I'm sorry, I just choked on the irony.
I get it, but I guess this is what I'm trying to address.
No, I get what you're saying, but none of the thing I said changes the answer. I'm going to give you solid Dean or
yeah. I think that as Bear said, not only your GM, your arbiter, whatever you call him, is vitally important to the player's experience and therefore their first impression of the game. There's just no getting around that. But also the players themselves, perhaps more so, are vitally important to everyone's experience and first-time impression of that system and the whole experience. It's something that you just can't fully predict. You can't fully control. The game system is as much a player at the table, has a seat at the table as much as the GM, as much as all the players. And there's no way to make that GM system, to make the game system guarantee the success of the GM or the success of the players. Every other seat at the table has to pull their own weight.
Would you say that it is possible? I don't want to say possible, that anything's possible, that it's probable or likely that a game master could be awesome at one game, Dungeons and Dragons, and horrible at another game, Valorous?
Yes and no. If they are putting the same level of commitment into understanding the other game, then odds are greatness will carry over. If they are being lazy about it and thinking they can just ride on the I know D&D so I can run any game, then yeah, that's going to suck. But then again, that's bad game master. It's not the player's fault. The player's fault comes when they try and bamboozle the game master. They don't learn the rules. They don't know what they're doing. And they've been playing a game. Like, I swear to God, you want to play a fucking spellcaster in my game? You better have your spells written the fuck down and know what they do. Because I am tired of watching you go, let me look through the book. And they made it even simpler by giving people spell cards now. It's like, no, learn your spells. These are a vital component of your character. Learn your spells. Hey, GM, be familiar with the spells. You don't have to be encyclopedic on them, but you need to know what they are. Mm-hmm. You need to know the game range. So again, if a guy's a great D&D GM, but he's not putting the same level of system mastery into Call of Cthulhu, he might not be a great Call of Cthulhu guy. Or maybe he's a really good bullshitter and he'll bullshit his way through the system and everybody else will have a grand old time. There is no black and white answer on this one.
Sure. Well, I think you did give the black and white answer that honestly I was fishing for a little bit, and that's the fact that that you have to take time with this stuff. Even when we just pulled a book off the shelf or got it, hey, I bought this game this week. Great. The game master would spend time at work, time at home, time whatever to learn how to at least to get the fundamentals down, and then as Dean was saying earlier, the game would go slow. And I really wanted to hit home that point. I think Arch hit it as well. And Dean, yes, I still got to let you jump in. I will. But that's the whole idea here is you can't just pick a game and say, okay, it's game ready, let's do it. And the video game analogy is 100% perfect. But I do believe, as we've said a couple times in this live stream, that might be generational. because I talk to a lot of people, and I mean a lot of people. I get in deep down arguments with people who are like, if I can't pick up a game and understand it intuitively, I don't want to play it. What? That is a thing now that people have this. I should be able to read the book for 5 minutes and get the game and just be able to run it. It's like, no, that's not what a book this thick is for. Anywho, go ahead, Dean, and then Arch, if you had any follow-up comments with that, we'll get you back in.
The DM GM makes all the difference when it comes to a game and people playing the game. Back in the when I started role playing back sort of mid to late 80s, there were tables that players were queuing to play at, no matter what game was being run, because the GM was running. And there were other tables where GMs were not getting people around their table because no matter what game they ran, they were terrible at it, or they treated the players very unfairly. So the GM makes all the difference. Having and as Bear said, you've got to put the time in. You've got to put a lot of time, a lot of effort. Systems will vary, your mileage will vary. Some systems require you to put a hell of a lot more time in. I remember running Pathfinder 3rd edition, designing creatures and stuff like that. It was arduous. You had to trawl through a lot of rules, had to pull stuff back and forth, and to build a creature using the rules as they were until you were familiar enough to kind of do it on the fly. It took a lot of time and effort. It was a lot of prep time. And I know you got a lot of systems that go low prep time, and I think that just encourages bad GMing, because you'll have someone who picks it up, thinks they can run the game because it's low prep time. They roll on a couple of tables and they think that's it, and they miss the important part of running a game, which is understanding the mechanics and how to almost hide those mechanics in with the role play, so your players focus more on role playing and mechanics second. So yes, the GM makes all the difference, and a good GM running a bad game, if they're trying it for the first time and then they realize it's outside of their kind of comfort zone, outside of their skill set on so for example, going from something like D&D to something very narrative like Vampire, not everybody would make that jump, because it's very different styles of role playing. Going from a heavy mechanical system to a very story driven system may not be something that all GMs can do. If you put the time and effort in, and you can, if you put the time, the effort, you do the prep, and it's within your skill set to do, then absolutely a GM can run multiple systems. But for example, if I was asked to run a system and I took one look at it and went, do you know what, mechanically this is just too many numbers, too big, too deep, I wouldn't even do it. Yeah, so
but to be fair, that's a personal choice, right?
Yeah, it's absolutely.
There's going to be other people who are like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. I love that.
Absolutely. Okay. But we're talking about a GM being very good at running one system and being very bad at running another system. I would avoid putting myself in the position where I'm bad at running a system, because I'd identify fairly quickly, this is a system I'm not comfortable with and that I don't fully understand or want to understand. Therefore, I won't even attempt to run it. So a good GM, I don't think, would put themselves in a position where they're running a poor game because of lack of understanding of the system.
That's another great answer that I think is absolutely fantastic for new players who just want to grab something and go, kind of understand it first. Bear, before I let you jump in, though, I did tell Arch that he could finish up his follow-up from earlier.
So, Dean, I think that's a really good, a very good point, and that segues into what I was going to follow up after Bear, which is that I don't think it's always going to be a matter of laziness on the GM, the referee's part. I think you can't really blame them if they're just not interested or they just don't have the experience. Like, I have not watched enough sci-fi, investigation, any kind of media. I don't have enough to draw on. My whole childhood was fantasy. So I wouldn't be a lazy GM if I tried to run a cyberpunk thing. I just don't have the material, and therefore I just wouldn't be interested. So the best thing to do is just not run it. And if I did run it, that I don't think that's because I'm a bad GM. Like, say someone said, hey, can you run it for my birthday? Please, I really want to. I really want you to. I'm like, okay, sure, I'll run it. I'm not necessarily a bad GM, but I'm bad at running that for a number of reasons. That's not just laziness.
Okay, Bear, what you want to say?
So Mr. Bovine made a point of saying someone who's good at running fantasy might not be good at running horror, might not be good at running sci-fi, might not be good at running superheroes, whatever the case may be. You're right. But here's where system mastery helps you. Every genre game I have ever seen worth its salt includes rules on how to emulate the trope. It includes guidance on how to make the GM understand how to hit those tropes or how to bring that experience, horror, superhero, sci-fi, whatever. Cyberpunk, one of the best ever.
Yes.
Because it had to teach everybody what cyberpunk was at the same time it was teaching them how to run the game. So as a result of that, again, not saying lazy, but I'm just saying if you don't make the effort to try and at least read the game cover to cover and all that kind of stuff, well, you're going to miss out. But if you do, there are going to be tools in there that you as a good GM will be able to use, and you will find a lot of your skill set from the other game translates over using the new tools. So why not?
And then it becomes a matter of, are you the perfectionist? Are your players the perfectionist? Or are you there having fun? Close, don't let perfect be the
Enemy of good.
The enemy of good.
Enemy was the word I was looking for. Of good, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We're at 8 o'clock here, so we got a little past 8. We've got about a half hour left. Any final caveats? And yes, a couple people pointed out this is very similar to one of the follow-up questions. There is a little nuance difference there, but not a big deal. But I think that this segment was good. I'm always thinking, because these are the kind of comments I sometimes get behind the scenes, which is like, hey, I'm new to whatever game, or I'm new to whatever genre, new to gaming as a whole, and these videos have been really helpful. So I really like to focus on how these things can help newer players out. I know the folks in chat, for the most part, probably all of them, if not 90% of them, have all been playing for 40 years, like me. But that's not true for the people who watch it after the fact. So there's some good stuff out there, good food for thought for new people out there. So anything that you guys, starting with Bear, because it's his segment, that you want to, I really want to ask this one, but I just don't know if you have the time.
Ask it.
All right. How do you handle people? Because this happens. How do you handle the player who keeps asking or complaining either, hey, well, how does D&D do it? Or, well, that's not how D&D does it. And I'm being very simplistic. I'm being very simplistic with the question. I can go into nuance if you want, but you get the idea. Yeah. What do you tell him, Bear? What do you tell him?
I'm gonna give you the unnuanced answer, right?
Yeah, don't use poo-poo. No, you go ahead. I don't care.
So I take the book, I smack him in the forehead with it, and then point to the title and goes, "This say fucking D&D, asshole." No, I just basically say, well, then you should want to play D&D if you feel this doesn't do it the same way it is, and it's not the game for you. And that's part of being a mature player, is understanding when a game is not for you, a group is not for you, a trope is not for you, a genre is not. Yeah. I will never run investigations because I don't like them. I will never run a heist game because I don't like them. Very simple. Don't put yourself in a position where you're unhappy. Put yourself in a position where you're happy. If you love D&D, there are literally hundreds of thousands of tables running D&D. Go play with them.
But you've been there. At some point, you've been there when somebody complained about, well, D&D does this X, Y, and Z, and I'm holding up like, well, does this say D&D on it? The reason we're playing this game is because we weren't wanting to play any more D&D.
Yeah, and being a person interested in psychology and people's minds, I would dive into that. Maybe not at the table, but like, okay, so why did you even bring up D&D in the first place? Do you think D&D has some authority? Like, do you just like D&D? When you tell me, hey, D&D doesn't do it that way, or like Matt Mercer doesn't do it that way, that tells me that you think that D&D or Matt Mercer has some kind of, has some kind of authority. And so the question is, what authority do you even think exists within tabletop, and what sort of authority do you think is over me in my house at my game table, right? You'd really question, like, why did you bring this up in the first place? Like, really, did you think this through?
Dean, may I just real quick?
Yeah, of course you can, Bear. Go on.
And there's the difference between in my 20s and in my 50s. Right there explained for you in my 20s. Why? What's going on? We must have a struggle session about this. In my 50s. Doors over there, asshole.
Yeah, doors over there.
It's so but like the one thing I love about gaming in my 50s is the drama is mostly fucking gone. It's really nice.
Good for you.
All right, Dean,
Yeah.
go ahead, man. Sorry, I
Yeah,
took your time.
I've actually kind of experienced this where one of my players started watching Critical Role, and then before you know it, it's that's not how Matt Mercer does it. That's not how they
Don't
do
take
it on
away my
Critical
members
Role.
only story.
I know, but it's so true. And I turned around to the player and I explained, the rule of cool is great for that table, but we try and become a lot more immersive, and this is how we do it at this table. If you don't like it, I'm not forcing you to be here. And it was as simple as that. And the player grumbled a bit, but then settled back in and continued playing. You're going to get players who try and push the boundaries. And I sometimes feel as a DM, GM, I'm a parent and I have to push back against those boundaries at times. And the players respect that. And, if one of the biggest words I keep saying, especially when characters are being created or when a player's trying something new, is no. And they'll go, oh, but I want to play a pixie, half goblin, this, that, and the other. And the first words out of my mouth is no. Because you got to set boundaries. So yeah, when a player starts to say that's not how D&D does it, or that's not how it's done in this system, I remind them we're not playing that system, we're playing this system. And then I further remind them that if they don't want to be at the table, they don't have to be. We're not holding them hostage.
Well, you might not be.
By the way, it's really good to see some old timers I haven't seen in a long time in the chat. You know who you are. People who used to hang around a lot who I haven't seen recently. But I'd like to see you guys here. Thank you very much for hopping on by.
They were attracted by Bear's lovely face and his deep voice.
I'll go with it.
It's very true. I am very mansome. It's a curse,
Mansome.
but-
I haven't heard that before.
Yeah, that's what I
See,
am.
now
I'm a
you're the
man.
young guy coming up with new stuff.
No, it's not new. It's just before your time, sir.
Oh, it's all right then. I stand corrected.
It's
So
also
see,
groovy.
What is new except what is old just revived? Like, hey guys, we found something new. All right, Dean, you did say something. You said being a parent. I actually completely agree that being a referee is in many, many, many ways like being a parent. And the real difference between qualities of players is, are you a parent to a 2-year-old, 5-year-old, 10-year-old, 20-year-old, 30, 40, 50? Like, you can have an adult, parent with their adult children at the table. You're still the parent, but they're all very mature and they can stand alone and they know the system and they know what to do and they're emotionally mature, etc. You're still a parent. Like, as a referee, you're going to be the parent. I think it might be a helpful framework to look at it and be like, oh, this player is my 5-year-old. This is my 35-year-old. I see, right? It might be a helpful thing to. That's how I do it. I don't think about it all the time, but I am aware that this is my more mature player, less mature, etc. And you deal with them differently.
Yeah, at any point in time, I'm the voice of reason in the room. We're all going to die.
I must have come from a different place where we just played the game, and if a player got out of bounds, we just told them no. Yeah. Yes, the psychology of role play, I think, is interesting, but I think it is it has potential of sending you down rabbit holes or stuff like that, where sometimes all players want to do, they want to turn up, they want to roll dice, they want to have fun with their friends, they want to kill things, they want to loot things, and they just want to have a good time. And I think that is often the psychology that's at play. And as a parent, you just got to tell them where the boundaries are and say, no, you can't do that. Stop being stupid.
Sometimes that is the best answer.
Gen X statement of, we will often say to each other, "Are you stupid?"
And we use the R word, not the S word.
Oh no! I say stupid. Are you stupid?
In my circles, it was always stop being retarded.
No, that's different. No, you are retarded, not are you retarded. You are retarded, and I know because of these things you did.
There's no getting out. There's no stop being. It's like, all right, you passed the line. You are.
Yeah. All right, well, let's see if we will get anybody to jump in and talk to you guys today. By the way, I put it in chat earlier, but some good news about this stream. Thank you for your membership, Doc. We'll get to super chats and member comments here in just a moment. Is for the first time in probably like 2 months, we cracked 50 viewers. We had 60 viewers again, which is what our old numbers were, between 60 and 70. Sometimes we'd push 80. We've been pushing 30 and 40 over the last at least 2 months, if not 3 months. So it's good to see some folks popping back here. Maybe we're finally talking. I put the word D&D in there somewhere. Maybe that got some people in here. I don't know. But I'm happy to see the folks here. On the flip side of it, we used to make over $200 on a Friday night live stream, and I made $5. So, it's give and take. So now, as some other people have done, it's time to become a legitimate channel member by hitting that join button. You can also support us after the stream if you're watching this on the video with a super thanks. Really helps us know that you truly like this content and want more Bear. Or Dean or Arch, but we know it's all about Bear. Remember, without your support, there will be no 2027. Do you think you have more panel presence, better opinions, more experience, or something else to improve upon a panel like this? Sign up on the GMI Discord. The link is in the description. Read the rules and find a panel topic that interests you. Now, in segment 4, we will bring you in to talk to our panelists about tonight's topic. I'll post a link to join us in just a moment. Just remember, I'll try to get to everyone I can, but I will prioritize members and super chatters. Thank you. Let me get the link out there so you guys can start thinking about it. If you click now, you're going to be waiting until we get through the chat and so forth, but I think most people understand that. And so let's put that there.
Click now. I want to hear what you have to say. Give me your questions.
Yep. So while we wait for some folks to join us, let's read some of the chats here. I've already done that. I'm going to kind of go backward here because I don't know where this... Oh, yeah, it's right there. Never mind. So, Chris Zeba 7400 says, for $5, great panel. Thank you very much. I'm sorry, I lied, sir. We made $10 tonight. That's my fault because we got 5 on Rumble and 5 over here. So thank you very much for that. And I do agree. I think it is a great panel. I love the fact that there was a little bit of a pushback back and forth, but they weren't getting ridiculous with each other. Like, we'll just say some things maybe in the old days would have gone.
I promised to be nice.
Yes, and I, keep to that promise. But the thing is by having that pushback, the viewer watching later gets to see, wait a second here, this guy saying good stuff, but this guy over here is saying something different. What do I like? Maybe you like A, maybe you like B, maybe you like something in the middle, a little ab. But Nerdy Ogre says, but Bear has it right compared to something they know and understand, like a movie or a show. That comparing to a movie or TV show has been one of the best tools in the toolkit that I've seen.
I agree, but I said it, so...
I always give a little pause to see if you guys want to jump in, but I'm not going to wait too long. You guys don't have to. I normally don't do non-member chats, but I like this one. Take your builds and optimizations to the table of the other cowards that won't nut up and use their math skills on the stock market or building rockets for SpaceX. That's what you tell somebody. That's what you I like this. That's what you tell somebody who's like, you didn't make the perfect character. You didn't do this. I don't see you working for SpaceX. I don't see your millions coming through in the stock market, douche nozzle. So
douche nozzle.
Yeah, that's replaced asshat for me for some reason.
I'm still trying to figure out what a douche canoe is.
I don't know, but if I hear too much, I might start saying it. Borok Child, who's one of the people I was talking about earlier that I haven't seen in a while. It's happy to see him here. Too many lazy players, too. They're more suited to playing video games. Bear was saying that. That's something I say a lot as well. I blame 3rd edition for that. I'm not saying that's the only, but I think it's the 800-pound gorilla of the subject matter that got people to start playing role-playing games like video games. Your mileage may vary on that, but that's my thoughts. But what do you guys think about blaming lazy players for everything?
Sure, why not?
Yeah, I'm afraid that lazy players are a really big problem. I think that when the pandemic happened and we had an influx of players into the hobby, that wasn't actually an influx of players into the hobby. That was an influx of very curious people who saw Critical Role and saw Stranger Things and whatnot. They said, oh, wow, I want to check this out. But they're not actually sincere players. It's like if you have a bunch of people storm your golf club and like, oh, yeah, we have golf clubs and we're whacking balls and tearing up the lawn and whatnot. It's like, those aren't actually golf players. They're not sincere. They don't actually care about the hobby. They're not here to actually put in the work required to get good at it, to put in the skill, to play well, get along with others, enter into the culture. They're just like, oh, hey, cool, this sounds like fun. And then they do their own thing with it. So I think, it was a net good for the hobby because it got a lot of eyes and did attract a lot of people that were actual enthusiasts. But we just have so many people in the hobby that are not actually in the hobby. They don't like this hobby. They want nothing to do with it. They're, filthy story gamers.
I think I'm going to start using the golf analogy over my football analogy that I like to use, because so the term that most people use for that is they're tourists. They're not actual players.
Tourists.
Now every game company, every developer in existence is going to argue with you and be like, no, these are sincere players. They bought my book and I don't want to talk badly about them, even though they want to talk badly about But imagine this. Imagine if you had a bunch of people. You've got the purists on the golf course who pay their green fees, who buy their clubs, and they put all this time, money, and effort into it. Yes, it's not rich, but for the purpose of our argument, it's a rich man's sport. I was poor, so I played tennis instead of golf. I could afford tennis. I couldn't afford golf. But imagine that now, because all these people came in, because it became accessible to everybody, but they're crying that the hole is too small and the fairways are too long and the roughs are too high. And so all of a sudden the hole is this big and everything's par 3. Well, no, it's going to be par 5 because you want to have a good score and feel good about yourself. But we're going to shrink it down to a par 3 and roughs. No more roughs. We're just going to cut everything down. Just hit the ball from wherever you want to. Imagine if that's what happened. Now, that's an exaggeration, and I know some people, even the grog nerds, sometimes get butthurt when I say this, but that's how I feel the hobby's changed since about 3rd edition. It may have started with Vampire, but for me, I really started to notice with 3rd edition D&D, and especially with 5e and all the nonsense that happened around that culture. That's what happened. Instead of, people don't like hearing this, but instead of actually catering to the true hobbyists, the true fans, the people who respect the traditions and how the games are generally played, they wanted to respect the masses. And the masses didn't understand any of that, nor do they care about any of that. And that's for better or for worse. I can't fault them for not caring. They just didn't care. And we, as the people who are in the hobby, didn't make them care. I do kind of blame us for that. So I said a lot of crap there. What do you guys think?
Mini putt is a lot of fun, and they should go play it. No roughs, no sand traps, pretty things. You can have a hot dog. Minimal investment.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not wrong for wanting for being casuals, for being tourists. There's nothing like morally wrong with it, but right. It's just not my hobby. It's like it's not not at my table, right? I'm not saying you don't have any table. I'm not gatekeeping you, like stay out, don't touch the green, don't touch a golf club, you're unworthy. It's not actual gatekeeping, but it's like, hey, I'm over here with sincere people. We're going to play on this golf course over here and be sincere about it. You're not welcome at my golf course at my table that I'm doing, right? There is a place.
Oh, so you're a segregationist? Wow.
Well, it's like mini golf isn't golf. Flag football isn't football. There's still fun sports.
I'm teasing.
It's responsible gatekeeping, because if you just pile everyone into the same corral, then you're just going to have conflict, right? You have to gatekeep responsibly in order to get everyone to the group and the part of the green that they're actually going to have fun in, right? If you have people that want the mini golf and you say, hey, come over here, you're welcome into the elite sports league, you're just doing them a disservice. You have to be able to say, hey, this doesn't look like the game for you. Maybe this one's better, right? You're not allowed at my table, right? There's no hatred. There's nothing bad about that. That is responsible gatekeeping.
But just use your term for a moment, responsible gatekeeping. You have a story game over here. You have a crunchy game over here. You have a rules light game up there. You have all these different styles of game. Please stop coming into the game that I love and enjoy and demanding it becomes your game when it's already there. Go either make your own, like some of these guys are doing, or go find one that's better suited to your taste. Stop coming in and making demands, especially when they become hobby-wide demands.
Yes.
I'm also very pro gatekeeping, by the way. I don't care if it's responsible or not. I'm pro gatekeeping.
Fair enough. Okay. Anything you want to add to that, Dean?
Yeah, it's I kind of agree with Arch, which is you can gatekeep your own table, and you should. That's why session 0 is very important. You explain to any prospective new players exactly how things are going to be. You give them an opportunity to come up with any concerns they might have. And this is your way. If a player says, oh, I want to use these X cards, and you're like, no, we don't do that at our table, the player's now got the option to leave the table and not join. Yeah. And it's about being strong and committed about, you gatekeep your table. Gatekeeping the wider hobby, that's a little bit more difficult because we don't own the IP to D&D, so we can't gatekeep it. The gatekeepers of D&D are Wizards of the Coast, and they've decided they're taking their system in a certain route. And if we don't like it as consumers, well, we talk with our wallets. We go somewhere else. We consume something else.
Yes.
And then D&D will, if they got people who enjoy what they do, they will continue to thrive. If they haven't, they'll start to stagnate. And what you'll find, and I think this is currently happening, a lot of people will stop buying their products and keep playing what's currently out there. Why do you think they're moving to this online platform, this subscription-based service and stuff like that? Because they've got to get the money coming in somehow.
Yeah, that's where I think you and I had this discussion before, and I can't remember if you. Most people do disagree with me on this, but I'm the type of person that says I would rather watch D&D fail. I would rather watch Earth Dawn fail. I would rather watch Palladium books fail than and Sean or Kevin are watching. Well, bad. I would rather them fail than for them to throw away their core audience. Nothing wrong with gaining a new audience.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with doing things that will help do that. But you have to do it in a way that doesn't throw away the previous audience. That is the issue that I have with most of these companies. You're right. They're in it for the money. Well, I'm in it for the hobby. I'm in it for the game. I'm in it for the what it is. And so D&D is a bad example because unfortunately it's the 800-pound gorilla. They can do whatever they want with that IP and they're still going to somehow make money, even if they shrink their budget down to just 4 people or something total. They will always be able to make money because of that name alone. But a lot of other companies can't survive that. I mean, how many different people have owned Earth Dawn? Just as an example.
Yeah.
FASA, Living Room, Red Brick, and back to the new FASA. So the thing is, it's like people want to keep that alive. And to be fair, that one's been kept pretty true to itself, right? But other companies can't do that. Other personalities can't do that. And, when you throw away the people who do support you.
Yeah. It's real simple, though. You can gatekeep the hobby. It will require a lot of
Bear, closer to your mic, please.
Sorry. I said you can gatekeep the hobby, but it's going to require a lot of investment and time. And the way that works is as follows. You go to any gaming store, and when you see someone picking up a copy of a game book, you ask them for their pronouns. If they give you pronouns, you slap the book out of their fucking hands and tell them to go play a video game. Seems that'll work pretty good for me. I don't know about you.
And Cal, I agree with you. I've been calling D&D a simulacrum or a doppelganger or just a zombie ever since like 3rd edition. So I'm with
zombie.
But we do need to move on. Nobody's jumped into chat here. I'll put the link out there one more time.
Nobody wants to talk to us.
Apparently, nobody wants to talk to you guys.
Nobody.
Can't blame them.
Nobody cares for me.
Doc Flamingo, member for 22 months.
Wow.
All right. I like to see myself as an abusive step parent. That sounds like Doc.
I played this game. It's true.
I have his game. It's unfortunately down there, but I should pull it out sometime. Should cover it by the end of the year. Nerdy Ogre says, Dean, but you don't need to run a game to fully understand the game. Wait, Dean, but you don't need to run a game to fully understand the game? Like, you can read the book all you want, but you're not going to be good at running it until you do. Okay, so his comment basically saying, like, you can read it all you want, but until you run it and actually see and feel the nuances, you're not going to be good at it. But I don't think that was your point, but please go ahead.
No, that wasn't my point. My point was, and I think, Bear, you've covered it with you don't do investigation games. A good GM won't run a bad game because they'll know where their strengths lie. I do not do mystery games. I'm not great at Call of Cthulhu, so I will not run a Call of Cthulhu game. But I will do fantasy and I will do OSR, 1st edition, D&D, stuff like that. No problems. So it's no matter how much I would read the books, read the rules on something like Call of Cthulhu. Call of Cthulhu is not where my heart is. It's not a system I enjoy, and it's not a style of game I like to run. So I would never run it because if I did, it would be a bad game, and I don't want to run a bad game.
Mm-hmm.
Same.
I want to see Spaceballs 2, The Search for Money. I completely forgot Mel Brooks was alive. I'm so happy to see that he's alive, and he looks like he has some energy still too. Yeah. And I can't wait to see that. Unfortunately, John Candy, rest in peace, won't be there, but I'm looking forward to that as well. All right, Albert, not a retro for $5 Canadian says, I throw down X card and explain I'm a misogynist and triggered by female authority figures. Okay, no X cards on my table. You're just gonna have to suck it up, Buttercup. But thank you for the $5. You guys want to comment on that? Should we just move on?
Might work, but I think it depends on delivery.
Well, I think he was pretty clear about that. I'm triggered by fear. You're not. Never mind. All right. I'm not going to say that on the public portion of the show. But thank you for the $5. Appreciate that. Poor Oak Child says you cannot gatekeep the hobby.
I believe I provided you with an accurate way to gatekeep the hobby. It's just going to be very time consuming, and you may have lots of legal battles.
Yeah, and you'd have to buy every single store.
No, you don't have to buy the store. You just go to the store. See?
Oh, so
you get trespassed.
You need to get a good clan together then. Good.
Now we're getting into
a bunch of followers.
Because then we're going to start working on uniforms, and that's how this all gets out of hand.
Oh, no. They would want to form a union as well.
Yeah. I didn't say it was a good idea. I just said it was an idea.
Yeah.
All right. One more super chat also from Albert here. And I thank everybody who's super chatting now and the folks whose comments we read and even everybody that's just discussing things. There are a lot of good discussions going on. I really do appreciate that. He says, don't be so sure D&D will always make money. Look what's going on with Star Wars, the MCU, Star Trek IPs. But there's a difference. Those have high cost concept. I mean, it costs a lot of money to make a movie and get it distributed and whatnot. It does not cost a lot of money to, comparatively speaking, to make a book. You have 4 D&D writers who just say, we're the core team and that's it. Palladium's doing it. That just as an example. They have Sean and Kevin, and then they hire out, to some freelancers. It absolutely can be done. It just be much smaller, but it can be done. And that's, I would rather those 4 people go find jobs elsewhere, digging ditches or whatever, but I'm an old curmudgeon. Okay. Well, I guess with that, I put the link out there one more time. We have less than 4. We'll get time for a half a person to come in and talk. That's how this would work, because we have a hard stop in like 3 minutes or 3.5 minutes. But if somebody does pop in, I'll let you ask one really, really, really quick question, and then you got to go.
Come on, you pussies.
I think
Wow.
Just drawing attention to one of the comments a while ago, it was really funny when Max from Off the Rails Roleplay was like, hey, you should dedicate a whole month to mystery and investigation so we can all give our opinions on it.
and it's funny, and I didn't pick up what he was talking about right away. He just said to that subject, and I'm thinking, because Bear was talking about something else, like, how to be a game master or whatever. And then when he said that, I was like, okay, that was a good one. You got me on that one. Because we did have a whole month based on that, and we couldn't get people to sign up. But interestingly, to be fair, I like the honesty in this one. A lot of people are like, yeah, man, I run a lot of games, but that just isn't the type of game I run. I'm like that. I'm 100% like that. I was hoping to learn some things from that as well.
I just have like an idea. And then I listen to my players' crazy theories as they talk it out, and then pick the ones that sound best and go from there. And then they go, "You're such a good GM! Like you had this whole thing planned out." It's like, yeah, the whole thing planned out.
Deception, bad, filthy story.
No, good, good, young man. Soon, Padawan, you will learn the ways.
Soon I will become lazy. See, you were talking about lazy.
That's not lazy. That's giving the play. No, that's giving. Okay, let's argue this one out. That's not lazy.
Wait. Can we argue this out in the members only, since we're going there in like a minute and a half?
Yeah, and
we were about to get going. Come on, man.
I know, but I gotta stop it. I'll be cutting you guys off right in the middle of the first person talking here.
That's just
hold on to that. We'll bring it back up. I'll call you both lazy in a moment. Then
Look into my eyes.
All right. Well, you know what? We're gonna end it now, because we're there anyway, folks. Thank you very much. Let me see what I have to say here for my outro. Oh, yeah, that's right, because I don't want everybody leaving yet. So that is it for the public portion of tonight's Game Master Insight. Please leave a comment who you believe had the most compelling, interesting, or novel position. Did you learn anything new that you may try at your table? Let us know in the comments. YouTube members, there is more to come, so don't go anywhere. Sincere thank you to everyone who supported the show with Super Chats, Rumble Rants, and memberships. And all of you took the time to join us tonight. Remember, just being very honest about this, we talk more about it on Sunday than we do on Friday, so I'll hit it up a little bit today. If we don't hit our goals, Legion of Myth is shutting its doors in for 2027. because I have things that I unfortunately need to do in life, and I either need to be able to use this time to do this and earn some money to pay somebody to do it, or I've got to do it myself, which will be, well, during this time. So, and finally, thank you very much, and I mean this sincerely, to tonight's panelists for their time. Every time I have a certain panelist on right now, I'll just say it'll be Arch and Bear, both of them. I'm going to get a bunch of messages like, oh my God, blah, 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 blah. But this is why they're on. They're on because they make you feel ways about things and maybe make you think about things differently that's going to work at your table. So you should be thanking them. Everybody loves Dean. You should be loving these other guys as well, because they're absolutely, making you think about stuff. And apparently they're going to make members think about things in just a moment. So some really good stuff here. So thank you for your time, for your informative and spirited discussions. Be sure to subscribe to their channels. Check out all the links in the description. Go to the Drive Through RPG. Buy Bear's Heroic 5e book. It is Heroic 5e, right? For some reason I keep wanting to say Valorous tonight.
That's Heroic 5e.
Heroic 5e book.
Yep.
Help him out, support him, all with the links in the description there. And with that, I look forward to doing this again next time.
And Dean's